Today, I will show you the exact strategies that we're using to grow B2B SaaS startups by more than $250,000 in revenue within 6 months. Today, to learn and execute on that, you will not need any prior sales experience. You would not need to increase your existing marketing budget, which is the most important thing for many people listening. You would not need to waste time or money on low ROI channels, need to outsource sales or marketing to external agencies, putting your business at risk, or having a product which is better than your competitors, because many startups we're working with, they have intense competition, and many times their competitors have hundreds of millions in raised funding. So despite all of this, we're going to see how we can achieve results even in saturated markets with insane competition. Who this book is for, and today I'll be referencing this video as a book because initially I wrote this as a book and today just wanted to share it with you in the form of a video. One of the key metrics I live by is the amount of value I provide for each minute of content. And so I'd like to clearly define in which case the next few hours are definitely worth your attention. First of all, you're a B2B SaaS founder selling to organization of 10 to employees to enterprises. And most strategies outlined here can't be used for B2C outreach. Here we will heavily rely on cold email and LinkedIn. You cannot send cold emails to consumers without their consent, while you can send those to businesses. And this, combined with much higher ticket size, is exactly why I operate in B2B rather than B2C. Right, you want to have a working product and already have made a few sales, so you want to see that some people are willing to pay for your product, because otherwise I think some of my other resources would be a better fit for you. Then you are growing through direct sales, and yes, this resource can be useful for those who have a self-onboarding version of the product, but a combination of these concepts will make a ton more impact for startups who are scaling through product demos and are charging between $1,000 a month and all the way up to hundreds of thousands of dollars annual subscription for your product. You want more reliable acquisition channels to grow your startup, and oftentimes I've been approached by startups who've grown to 10K MRR all the way to 400K MRR via SEO, partnerships, and their existing network. In this resource, I will not cover SEO in detail or growing through affiliates, because instead it's going to be a playbook for adding predictable pipeline for B2B SaaS founders who don't have one. I'll be showing you how to master selling to people who never heard about your product, and not selling to your friends who can push your deal through some enterprise connections thanks to their status. In addition to that, many startups we're working with and using these strategies for have tried events, but they understood that, well, yes, at some point it is cool to go to those events, but then you just realize that it's super boring and you bump into 1,000 service providers per each proper lead that you come across. And now you want to have some more sustainable and scalable way, rather than having to go and listen to boring stories of all the weirdos that go there. And equally, aside from events, most likely you've tried some of the cold email or some of the LinkedIn in the past, because I'm sure you've seen many people succeeding with this, so you wanted to give it a try yourself, but something didn't work for some reason. Maybe your volume was not right enough, maybe your targeting, maybe your message, maybe the way you set it all up. And by the end of this video, I'm going to share you all the things that you need to be caring about to make this work for your startup. Because later in this video, we'll touch on the concept of demand creation offers versus demand capture offers. And using this, you will know which particular channels would make even more sense for your startup. But many times, no one gets hurt from getting an additional 30,000 people a month getting and seeing their offer through LinkedIn and cold email. And by the end of this video, you'll learn exactly how to do it. So aside from that, you want to learn how to grow by an additional $250,000 in annual revenue without spending years on trial and error, which I've done for you, burning tens of thousands from your marketing budget, which I burned for you, or going for incorrect strategies that were destined to fail from the beginning. Another note, you would not need to invest heavily in ads to make this work, because primarily we'll be looking at how to make this work from a combination of outbound and inbound. But ads would not be one of the primary sources which we'll be reviewing here. So who this book isn't for? Equally, I wouldn't like to hold you if you're not going to get an insane return on time spent. So this resource isn't for you if you don't have a product with at least few sales. If you're at this stage, email me and I'll send you better resources I have on the topic. In this one, I'm not talking to wannabe founders who can't reach out to 10 leads for 3 months, or who are just about to start selling but are delaying this for another year. This one isn't for you if you're selling B2C product priced at $5 to $100 a month, because most strategists here wouldn't provide a viable return on effort if each deal isn't worth at least a few $1,000s for you, at least in an annual subscription. This book resource isn't for you if you are here for a short-term game, because trying one idea for a month, then jumping to another one, this is for founders committed to make their B2B SaaS business work and are ready to put the time and effort required to execute on that. So yes, some strategies have worked within the first hour of using them, like Britain booking 4 product demos in the first 60 minutes after our first call, but I don't want you to expect some magic to occur from no action right after you going through this. This resource isn't for lazy gamblers who want to do nothing and win big, because instead it is a methodological playbook for those who want to be making scientific experiments, learn from them, and grow more effectively. This is for entrepreneurs who understand that everything in life worth pursuing takes comparable effort. So by the end, you will learn where to get leads, because many times you'd be thinking, oh, I need to find some freelancers on Fiverr and then either rely on their lead list for $100, which would have a zillion leads, but this would be crappy databases, or, oh, I need to hire some lead scraping agency and pay them tens of thousands of dollars to magically get me those. Relax, few $100 and most of the time you're set. Then I'm going to also cover how you can save a few $1,000s on exporting, how to reach thousands of prospects a day with 50% plus open rate automatically, how to get your product sell at 8 to 10 times higher price without you touching your code thanks to positioning, how to design your own category to get people to buy from you even when there are hundreds of alternative options, how to build cold email and LinkedIn campaigns from absolute scratch to reach 50,000 leads a month for just $400, what exactly to post to get inbound demo requests, how to turn ice cold prospects into warm ones even before you get on a call, how to increase your close rate by 20 to 40% without giving any discounts, and thankfully got tens of case studies to back this one up as well. Then how to build a website that converts 29% of traffic into signups, real story. Which conversion numbers you need to be hitting at each step of your funnel, like open rates, reply rates, conversion to paid customer, and more. I have a few founders reaching out to me purely for the reason that I'm the only guy on the internet who is there sharing the numbers. Yes, sure, because of that, I need to be re-recording and adjusting stuff every few months, because, for example, a good open rate in this niche in one point of time is not the same. It's not going to be the same, say, 4 or 5 months from now, after some of the strategies gets, more saturated. But yeah, after this one, you will know, okay, what is a good reply rate, which numbers we should be hitting, when should we pivot, when we should not pivot, when we should stick to the strategy for another month, because it's actually not as bad as we could have thought. If many times you stop jumping strategies too soon, if only you knew more about when exactly you need to be making changes, I think a ton more things would have worked out for you. So to sum up, if you see how learning these skills can benefit your business, you check the boxes from "this is for you" section and are ready to put the effort to make things work, stay tuned, because I'm about to change the way you operate your business forever. You will finally learn how to reverse engineer sales for your business and hit your revenue goals on demand. You'll learn how to run scientific testing to make a smarter conclusions about your data, and you will add 6 to 8 figures in revenue as a result of applying the upcoming frameworks. If at any moment you'll need help with any of the steps or would like to hear how these methodologies can be applied directly for your startup, just go to saascamp.com, book a call with me so I can take a look at your situation and just tell you what makes more sense for you. Now, briefly about me, I'm Denis Shatalin. This is me in 6 emojis and few pictures. So currently I'm a mentor at UCL and have been working with founders from there for the past year or so. And this is a picture of me in G20 Indonesia, where I've met some of the coolest startups representing each different country. It was a nice time. So I worked at a big four consulting firm, EY, but understood that corporate life is not for me. I left to launch e-com businesses and have grown a jewelry store, dropshipped backpacks, and even sold dog toys on marketplaces. The e-com businesses were working, but I wanted a new challenge and started building startups with no-code tools like Bubble, Glide, or Make. You may know them if you're from no-code space. I spent years making every startup mistake you can imagine, spent tens of thousands of dollars, and earned a ton of expensive scars, which today you are gonna learn for free. After one of the products got initial traction, I had other founders approach me to ask for sales and marketing tips. I enjoyed helping them out, and one day I decided to pause other ventures to go into coaching full-time. Since then, I have built go-to-market strategies for over 100 startups in nearly every niche you can imagine. That strategies have generated millions in new revenue and often grown startups by 8 to 10x in profit in less than 6 months. I built an outbound campaign for an AI property startup Realist that helped them close a $52 million real estate deal with the #1 investment fund in Dubai. So when someone tells me that through cold email you can only reach some weirdos and people no longer reply on LinkedIn, you see. So this is like their website dashboard. My coaching practice has grown into a performance-based accelerator where more than 80% of founders still attend every session after being in the program for 6 months. And recently I made an angel investment in a B2B SaaS startup that helps football teams manage their finances, analyze player performance, and see how much they have made on each transfer. If you've ever played FIFA Football Manager, basically they built it in real life. This put my understanding of B2B SaaS to a real test, and within 7 months they've gone up from 400k to 950k in annual revenue by closing a few US and Italian teams, which has grown their valuation from mid-7 to 8 figures. Yes, you understood it right. I figured how to generate millions for B2B SaaS and got a sexy multiple on the angel check without scaling any of my own SaaS products to decent figures. And I've done it by relying on knowledge from my past business ventures, learning endless mistakes I made with my products, and testing a hell lot with every single client. But why learn these strategies? To start with, I'd like to show you what the frameworks you're about to learn have recently done for a few of the founders I worked with. Case study 1 is with David, and David runs linkedprospect.com. He joined SaaScamp when he was not getting any sales from Outbound and wanted to fix it. We built a cold email campaign from scratch, targeting marketing agency owners. Here he shares like how he just done a 5k sale from cold email, giving a shout out to everyone that thinks cold email is dead. Time frame for this screenshot from joining is 9 weeks. Case study 2 with Jules. Jules runs pokedhq.com, which replaces your LinkedIn inbox to help you sell more. And their team have a background in tech and had no go-to-market strategy they could follow. So we structured their positioning, built LinkedIn and cold email campaigns, and got 2 demos from each channel. And this is with us still running campaigns at 15% of their capacity. Here he shares how he booked 4 demos in just 1 week from cold email, LinkedIn, and so on. And time frame for this one is 3 weeks since joining. Case study 3 with Ilya. Ilya runs PowerLeads.io, a product that lets you get a ton of leads from YouTube filtered by niche parameters. He needed help with getting in front of customers and closing sales with larger agencies. They were finding it difficult to book calls with prospects, had low reply rates, and prospects just weren't interested in getting on calls. So step number 1, we identified market positioning and got leads. The interesting part about Power Leads has been that they were the first on the market to provide a working YouTube scraping algorithm. The good part of it was that nobody was dictating rules for our pricing, but the issue was there was no one we could replicate systems from. We brainstormed who would be the companies who would get the most value from the product, and this appeared to be lead generation agencies serving creators and digital marketing agencies doing business around YouTube. So after building lead lists in Apollo, which many of you have heard about, we went to export Apollo.io as it allows us to get Apollo contacts cheaper by bypassing the extraction limit. And this allowed us to get 40,000 contacts for just $100. Don't worry, in the next parts, I will be walking you through more details for lead search and campaign building, so it's easier for you to execute all of it. Step 2, setting up a hybrid customer acquisition system. Initially, we didn't know the best positioning and the message that would perform best. And spoiler alert, with most startups I'm working with, they come to me without having a clear dialed in messaging when we begin working, because we can only learn it from a ton of testing that we're doing with them. So that's why we created 4 campaigns to test multiple angles: case study hook, question hook, authority hook, free value hook. And after sending out initial 3,000 emails from 30 domains, we found which campaigns were performing best and doubled down on the free value one. Here you may see the screenshots for 93% open rate, 15% reply rate, and 25% of replies being positive. And the campaign that we started shortly after had a 77% open rate and a 10% reply rate. For anyone who has experience with cold email, you may understand these are very healthy numbers. After we tested messaging and positioning on such number of contacts, we found that the positioning and variations that were booking us the most calls and converting the most deals were basically the one with us providing more free value upfront, since that got us more rapport with people prior to them getting on calls. So next, we streamlined the sales process. None of this would make sense if we didn't put a proven sales process in place. We sent relevant materials to leads prior to the call to warm them up. For the call itself, we qualified the lead, but built up cost of inaction and converted them during our one call close structure. Step 4 was optimizing the funnel. After the first 20 calls, we went through conversions at each step of the funnel to identify bottlenecks. We analyzed open rates, reply rate, click-through rates, booking rates, time from reply to booking, which many founders miss out on, lead scores recorded in CRM, lead commitment level, length of deal cycle, 3 main types of buyers, and upsell conversions. Our open rates, reply rates, and referrals were insanely high, but we didn't like that it took an average of 4 weeks from initial contact to getting the payment, common for organizations of 50 to 100 employee size. So we added incentives for purchasing quickly. Now, results. We changed his startup's positioning to sell to media agencies, created a new lead list, built a cold email campaign to send 50 emails from 50 domains a day, and changed copy for all the sequences. Within 3 weeks, they got 52 positive replies, 16 calls, and 4 sales. And here you may see the calendar screenshots and Ilya's testimonial for getting all those calls and making this money. Time frame for these screenshots is and has been 3 weeks since they joined the program. Thanks to their team executing on every single step quickly. Case study 4 with Jillian. Jillian runs MyLotteryCard, a startup helping businesses process payments without technical headache. They had good traction from their podcast funnel, but Outbound wasn't bringing desired results. We helped them build the backend of their cold email campaign, scraped people from Facebook groups, and after warming domains up for 6 days, Jillian started sending a small volume of messages. This got her the first calls. On day 6 of sending emails, she closed the sale from a new funnel. And here's her testimonial. Just got my first sale. It's been 12 days since we launched the campaign and practically 6 days since they started sending automated emails. And video testimonial Jillian recorded in her first month in the program is on SaaScamp website. Time frame for this screenshot is 2 weeks after joining. Case study 5 with Marcus. Marcus is the founder of Feedbucket app, and he approached different advisors seeking guidance on his go-to-market strategy. But no matter which things he tried, the return on effort just wasn't there. He knew he had a good product, but the top of the funnel and closing deals was an issue. We changed Feedbucket's positioning from ground up, from being a nice-to-have tool for freelancers to becoming a must-have for web development agencies. This let us charge multiple times more. After changing the marketing strategy, we launched an outbound LinkedIn campaign, and as a result, Feedbucket has grown its profit by 8 times, booking the first calls in the first 7 days and closing the sale on day 17. And here's the screenshot from interview with Marcus, which can also be found on SaaScamp website. Case study 6 with Ian, who is the founder of Natuma. He was operating on average margins and was getting customers from SEO. He knew that by dialing in his GTM strategy, he would get a ton more customers at a better price point. So we redesigned the category for Ian, and I'll teach you how to do it later in the video. Added outbound acquisition channels, which again I'm gonna break down step by step, and this let Ian start converting buyers at 10 times higher margin. Here's his testimonial that his plans were $100 on average, which got to 1,000. Time frame for this screenshot is 5 weeks since joining. Case study 7 with Suprit. Suprit has been growing a project management tool called Anywhere, and he wasn't getting people to show interest to his product, and they didn't know why they would need it. We figured we should start using alternative acquisition channels, being cold email, ads, and LinkedIn. We then crafted LinkedIn sequences from scratch, which allowed Suprit to start getting 2 responses on every 6 messages that he has been sending, getting his average reply rate from 0 to 30%. Next one is case study 8 with Will. He is the founder of foodoo.co.uk, a food tech startup that lets restaurants process orders. They had a customer base, but their pipeline had 0 meetings. Together, we analyzed performance across different channels and found out that referrals were getting the largest deals with the fastest sales cycle. When we put more focus on that, within a few weeks, we got them more product demos, like 30 plus or something, than they could handle. And here's his testimonial. Hey man, just want to say big thanks for your help and advice during SaaScamp. We're easily on track for 10K MRR by December. And this is in pounds. And knowing that they joined at 2K MRR pounds. So our onboarding pipelines are so full, we've literally had to hire more staff to cope. Appreciate it. Time frame for us getting Foodoo more calls than they could handle is 7 weeks since joining. Now, case study 9 with Britton. Britton was working as a copywriter, but one day changed his life forever and built his own SaaS called Percy. It helps users create Amazon listings with AI, and Britton used his copywriting skills to create a powerful algorithm that could save thousands of hours of manual work. And after hundreds of hours of coding, the product did its job well. So the problem was that initially Britton saw his target market to be freelance Amazon copywriters. He ran multiple marketing activities and reached out to freelancers on Fiverr and Upwork. Unfortunately, this approach didn't get consistent signups, and the conversion rate from free to paying users was just below 2%. Pain points: no marketing plan, low conversion from free to paying users, no system for getting new users into the product, charging way lower than the product is really worth. So the plan was to start with positioning, because correct positioning is the key to quick month-over-month growth. The health of your business depends on the quality of your customers. And as with all products inside SaaScamp, the first thing we began was with market positioning. When it's challenging to convert people, it's a signal that we are selling to the wrong audience. The first thing we did on our GTM strategy call was select the hungriest audience for our product who would pay us the most. But who will pay us the most? Right, those who will be getting the highest ROI and saving the largest amount of time, Amazon agencies. First steps: for each buyer persona, we want to find the channel where they will be the easiest to find. As our ideal customer profile became Amazon agency owners, we went to LinkedIn. And there, we didn't want to sell to newbies. Our product is of zero value to guys struggling to find contracts. And it's immense value to agencies overwhelmed with thousands of contracts. So we filtered out agency owners in the US, EU, Australia, and Canada who've been in the current role for more than 2 years using Sales Navigator. Then we began our outreach, or how the hell we booked 4 meetings in the first 60 minutes. The next step was to get meetings with them. So as Percy hadn't had a lot of social proof and video testimonials, we had to build our name from scratch. Sometimes cold email campaigns bring high reply rates when you mention success stories with your other users. However, in this case, we weren't certain in our value proposition yet. So we went for a 4-message outreach sequence, as it brings a high number of replies and chats from which we could learn more about, get more feedback from the market. More chats mean more market knowledge, and more market knowledge leads to a better understanding of who exactly needs our product and why. Britton took action right after our first meeting, which helped us to get his week packed with demo calls on his first day at SaaS Camp. Already booked 2 meetings using this updated message structure. Great start so far. And then within the same hour, yes, I did 2 questions and then proposed a chat using the script we came up with. And then 4 meetings now already. I'm amazed how well this is working. I see first message is 7 a.m. my time because he's based in Australia, I'm in UK. And yeah, just within first hour, I think that's the record I've had so far. The funnel, after we validated our buyer persona and found a repeatable way to get more prospects to book demos with us, it was about optimizing conversions at each stage of the funnel and freeing up more of Britain's time for higher leverage activities. So we installed tools to automate email research and hired a virtual assistant to handle inbox management and lead generation. Fortunately, it's not difficult to outsource tasks that you understand inside out. And then we upgraded our landing page, copy, and offer. Today, Percy has a few low-ticket plans, but majority of the revenue is coming from these enterprise-level deals closed on agencies through Outbound. The outcomes: marketing plan with 3 working acquisition channels, cold email, partnerships, and LinkedIn. Free plan removed with no loss of user base after months 2. Here I mean the paying user base. Customer acquisition system that brings new paying customers every day. Charging above the competition while month-over-month churn doesn't exceed 5%. And 0 to 83 product demos booked from scratch in only 16 weeks. And as a sweet bonus, adding tens of thousands in recurring revenue. By the end of this video, you will be able to learn which systems I built for the startups, so you'll be able to see how you can replicate the same for getting more demos and increasing close rate in your situation. Now, how this video is gonna go. This one is gonna have 3 parts, and each part is gonna be split into 3 chapters. In one line, everything is gonna look like this. First, we're gonna talk about how to acquire leads, then how to close them, and then how to optimize funnel conversion to then restart this loop and grow your company. First, I will introduce you the concept of a hybrid customer acquisition system in part 1. We will dial in your startup's positioning in the first chapter, then structure your outbound lead generation in chapter 2, and then embed inbound lead generation in chapter 3. Then, after the HCAS is in place, we will work on your omniface sales process in part 2. First, you will learn how to turn cold leads into warm ones using the pre-call chapter, then how to run these calls, chapter 2, and what needs to be done after the call, chapter 3. You will have a system for getting product demos and converting them. So next, you will need to figure out how to improve your numbers. This is exactly what we will cover in part 3, called Optimizing Funnel Conversions. You will understand how to apply conversion optimization model to hit revenue targets, chapter 1, understand how to build scalable company systems in chapter 2, and finally, we will find you additional revenue streams in chapter 3. Get yourself some tea, and let's begin. Now, let me talk with you about what is a hybrid customer acquisition system and how you can set it up for your startup. So first of all, you need to understand that this is the key to consistently getting leads into your funnel, since that's because we diversify risks of not relying solely on one platform, and at the same time we combine both inbound and outbound customer acquisition. Here you may see on the picture that basically you got to be funneling leads through multiple channels so that they turn into sales, and then these sales turn into case studies. These case studies you then can turn into your LinkedIn content, so you can get even more leads. You can turn them into your SEO and use them in your ads. More leads are going to be getting you even more sales and even more case studies, and this way you can run it as a loop. So the most powerful thing about it is that for B2B SaaS startups, it helps to get a ton of meetings in the fastest way possible, because you don't need to wait for some backend limitations like warming up your LinkedIn accounts or cold email domains. So as there is no need for waiting for technical limitations, this helps to get results like the one we had with Brian, booking 23 product demos in the first 7 days of him being inside the program. And we were starting at 0 demos and had no prior technical setup. Let me break it down for you. So how have we done this? Above you can see the screenshot with Brian. In previously we've been using Discord, so in our Discord server sharing that out of 110 messages with his prospects, he booked 23 meetings. So the classical way we would be approaching this would be to wait 14 days on warming up the email domains, setting up LinkedIn campaigns and so on, but we approached it creatively. We started posting sales assets from day one, addressing pains of our ideal prospects, and this exposed our posts to people who can potentially buy the product. So each day we would build a lead list of people who are engaging with our content, DM them and run them through a 2-step qualification process, and then invite to the call. During the same 7-day period, we ran a lead magnet campaign to leads in our existing connections, ran them through the same script and got them on calls. This got Brian 23 product demos by the end of his 7th day inside the program. And while executing these steps, we were also preparing our cold email campaigns. So you can imagine what happened after we also added cold email systems, reaching out to 1,000 leads a day to these processes. Combining multiple acquisition channels and running both outbound and inbound campaigns in each is going to be like the quickest way to book tens of qualified product demos with different prospects in just a couple weeks. And in other words, you'd be needing to create a hybrid customer acquisition system. So in the next chapters, I'll walk you through the steps required to build it out so you can replicate them for your startup and get more product demos with ideal leads. Basically get more demos than you can handle. First, we'll start with market positioning, which is essential to make everything work. And then we're going to dive into building outbound and inbound channels. So the first chapter, market positioning, how to position your product correctly, and why successful market positioning is your fast track to success. That's because market positioning determines whether your startup journey is going to be an uphill battle, like you see Romans here on the picture, or it's going to be a downhill ski ride in Swiss Alps like this one. And getting on one of these two routes is under your control, because 90% of startups die in the first few years for a reason. They don't get that in order for their product to have consistent cash flow, their product has to save time, generate extra revenue, and prevent risk. I used to launch, pivot, and kill my no-code products because I didn't understand the importance of these three. You can think of any successful startup, and I assure you, it delivers on at least one of those, and often multiple of these couple things. Amazon does 1-day delivery, and it saves time. Uber gets you a taxi in 3 minutes. It also saves you time. Salesforce helps you sell more, generates you extra revenue, and so on. For that reason, the key to successful positioning is selling a dream outcome based on one of these. 2 absolutely identical products enter a market. Both help SEO agency teams streamline their operations. But founder Ben doesn't care about positioning. He doesn't analyze solutions available on the market, doesn't run interviews to clarify users' problems, puts a generic headline on the website like "Grow your efficiency," classic. Myth ban. He doesn't understand the end value he brings to his ideal customer, and even more, he's not even clear what his ideal customer profile is. As he has little clue about the end value, he puts a low price tag and grinds nights and days, DMing all SEO agencies that he can find on the internet, and when messaging prospects, he promises to make them more effective. And now, on lucky days, he gets interested replies and product demos, but people don't get why they should pay decent money for the software, and most of the deals never go through. And then there is founder Raz, who you might know from popular Netflix series. He has a product that is 100% identical, feature to feature. However, he decides to approach market positioning differently. He picks a customer group of remote SEO agencies with 50 to 100 employees for who increased team efficiency means millions in extra revenue. He narrows down the pain he's solving and analyzes competitor solutions. Meet Raz. And Raz gets on user interviews where he repeatedly hears their number one goal: achieving and maintaining a 90% client retention rate while growing the agency's client base by 20% annually. This helps him realize that that is what he should be selling to his ideal audience. You always want to be selling your dream outcome for them. The dream outcome that's worth a lot. So he launches campaigns with this headline, gets replies, gets demos, explains how his product is the missing piece to achieving this 90% retention, closes sales, and enters a 3 club. The key steps to get your market positioning right without having to spend years sitting on low revenue are going to be: define the pain you're solving, analyze competitors who are already solving this pain successfully, then find their weak spots using G2 and Capterra, combine unresolved market demand with competitor weaknesses to turn them into your strength, and then sell the dream outcome. Next one. Dynamic marketing and why it will help you sell quicker. And this goes hand in hand with us figuring out our market positioning. So what is dynamic marketing? When launching my first products, I thought that the business plan is the key to success. Good Lord. Then don't get me wrong, it surely is, but from the moment when you clearly know what you are doing. Successful market positioning requires a combination of multiple factors: knowing the problem you're solving, who exactly you're solving it for, why which message resonates with them best, and why, which channel converts them fastest, and at which timing you have to approach them to close them smoothly. Even if you can tell fortunes using tarot cards, getting all of this right from the first attempt is nearly impossible. And that is why startups who treat their positioning and marketing in a dynamic way win. Startup growth is about experimenting and learning quickly, because the more experiments you launch, the more knowledge you can get from them, the cheaper your customer acquisition cost becomes, and the faster your growth rate. So startups who can launch more experiments, adjust their market positioning and message quicker, they outcompete those who do it slower. And as you regularly leverage the new data points you get each time, you're able to gain way more insight into your market than your competitors. So dynamic marketing is an adaptive strategy used by startups for faster growth. And instead of sticking to a single plan, it involves continuous experimentation and learning from real-time feedback. By adjusting the market positioning based on new insights, the startup can more effectively reach their audience and outpace slower adapting competitors. Then, how you embed dynamic marketing into your personal growth plan, startup's growth plan. To embed it effectively, you need to set up data tracking when launching campaigns. And the more metrics you track, the better you can plan each of your next initiatives and the more conversions it will bring. Here's a list of must-haves we set up for startups inside SaaS Camp. Number of product demos / signups each month by channel. Then length of a sales cycle tracked by each acquisition channel. Website to the demo conversion. Objections from leads by each channel, because we want to know, say in SEO people, well, there you cannot track it, fine. But say on LinkedIn, people have those set of objections, while on cold email, they have the other one. We want to be tracking, okay, which objections we get in each channel, so that, for example, in cold email, we would be able to tweak the copy to address a couple of them, and then in LinkedIn, we would address the other ones. Then we also always track deliverability rates, open rates, reply rates, and reply to book demo ratio, plus reply to book demo sale cycle length. Because if it's taking startups more than a couple days to be booking calls with people, this is something what we need to optimize. Because imagine someone replies to you, they are interested to get on a call, but your booking process starts to become like 3, 5, 7 days. No, it's not going to scale. We want to make sure that we get the interested ones on calls as fast as possible, and more. All this allow you to understand what you lack in your message in each channel and pre-handle objections by addressing them in your copy. This way, instead of each marketing feedback loop taking between 2 and 4 months, it takes 2 to 14 days. So imagine the knowledge gap between startups 1-2 years of treating campaigns in such different ways. There should be a quick biz dev to the marketing feedback loop, so that feedback from campaigns collected on Monday can be used in a new campaign launched on Wednesday. Once it works in alignment, that's when your growth plan starts to drive sales. The idea behind this topic is that you need to minimize the time it takes your team to learn something and then to implement these insights into the campaigns you're running. Because if there is, as I say, no cohesiveness behind this, then you would be operating like an enterprise level company while being a team of 3-5. And this is not the best thing, because yeah, sure, you want to aim high, but this is like the disadvantage of theirs, that it's a super slow pace. Next one, SaaS value proposition formula. So getting your value proposition right helps you target the right people and offer the correct thing. Getting a value proposition wrong is one of the biggest traps startups fall into. They treat their value prop in a static way. They write it once and keep it for 6 to 12 months. Then only get back to it when they run out of runway. Instead, you want to adjust your proposition formula regularly, making sure that it has feedback implemented from your campaigns. So here's the first formula we use. We help A, your ideal prospects who need help with B, problem you solve, succeed by getting C, the ideal outcome you deliver. And then unlike D alternative, your solution does E, which is main benefit / key selling point, which leads to F, a unique benefit. So SaaS Camp helps, example on my story, SaaS Camp helps B2B SaaS founders who need help with marketing and sales succeed by getting them an extra 240K ARR in less than 6 months. Unlike other accelerators, SaaS Camp works on a performance-based model, which makes the team extremely committed to the startup success. And at the moment of me recording this, we get 60% of our fee, only the startup generates this amount, plus refund the initial 40% in case for some reason they don't achieve this result. So it's important that the ideal buyer understands the language and that your pain points and outcome are as specific as possible. The better you define them, the easier it becomes to acquire customers. You know where to go, what to offer them, and how to convert them. So here's a second formula that we use. X helps Y to solve Z problem through A, so that they don't need to B. Now let me break it down in detail. Number 1, identify your customer's main problem. We start with a problem for a reason. If we don't solve one, we'll struggle to make sales. And what are your customer's pain points? What inefficiencies are they facing? Perhaps they're wasting time on manual tasks, losing money because of outdated software, or struggling to analyze data efficiently. The more specific you can be, the better. For example, for a CRM for design agencies, the customer's problem might be losing potential sales because of disorganized client tracking. Nice. Next one is we want to identify all the benefits your product offers. Then list down every single benefit your SaaS product brings to the table. Don't just drop Don't just stop at the obvious features and think about the domino effects of those features as well. It saves time. So what is the end result it leads to? Example, for the same CRM SaaS, benefits could be organized contact management, automated follow-up reminders, and advanced sales analytics. The next one is you want to describe what makes these benefits valuable. Now you explain why the benefits are important. This is where you connect your product's advantages to real-world outcomes. For example, with automated follow-up reminders, design agencies can ensure no potential lead is forgotten, ultimately increasing their conversion rates. Next, connect this value to your buyer's problem. Using the formula, combine the identified problem with the benefits and their value. For instance, our CRM organizes your chaotic client list, sends automated reminders for follow-ups, and offers deep sales analytics, ensuring you never lose a potential sale because of disorganized data. You might have noticed that the more I proceed with this, the more valuable the thing becomes because we make it more specific and more attached to the revenue our prospects are generating. Then we differentiate yourself. Here's where you emphasize what makes your SaaS unique. Perhaps it's your simple interface, advanced tracking, or something else. For example, unlike other CRMs, our platform is designed specifically for design teams of 10 to 50 people, ensuring it serves their needs better than any alternative. Next one is we want to pre-handle objections. And this one, consider possible objections or hesitations your potential customer might have and address them upfront, so that you don't need to spend hours tweaking your settings or hire additional staff. Such way, the completed value proposition is going to look like that. Our design agency focused CRM helps teams to organize their client tracking to solve the problem of lost sales through organized contact management, automated follow-up reminders, and advanced pipeline analytics, so that you don't need to spend hours tweaking your settings or hire additional staff. Of course, you want to make it sound less wordy, but this surely is gonna convert easier than we help you become a better company or more effective. Now, when we put the value proposition in place, let's make use of it. Sweet. The reason for us going in specifics is that if we just start sending everything in all different ways, we're gonna waste our resources. And another thing we wanna do even before we begin our outreach is to basically address the idea of message market fit formula. And with our campaigns, one of our core goals is gonna be attempting to find this out, because the better messaging we can find, the easier it's gonna be for us to make sales in future. Let me comment on that. So I've seen tens of thousands of SaaS startups, both profitable and struggling. Many times on Crunchbase, Apollo, or elsewhere, it was also possible to see the number of employees and revenue they were making. After years of checking 5 to 10 SaaS products every day and having info on how well they're doing, I pointed out common patterns that I could see among them, which I later applied when making my angel investments. I transferred this into my work with startups as well. So now when running the founder through the program, we aim to find their message market fit, which consists of the following: right pain plus the right audience with the right message in the right channel sent at the right timing is going to help us achieve a 20% month-over-month revenue growth rate. For some entrepreneurs, it takes years before they can find the correct combination of elements to make this formula work for them. My role is to make it weeks and not years. All 5 elements have to match in order for startups to make sales and grow rapidly. Let me show you an example. Leonardo decided to launch a SaaS, a platform that analyzed sales teams' calls and gave tips on what each SDR should do differently to close more. He invested his own money into the product, asked a couple of people from his network to give him referrals, and got a few deals. But he was not making the profits he wanted, had no consistency in the pipeline, and no growth, and basically the growth was stagnant. So each day he opened his calendar, saw almost no meetings, and closed it to get back to tweaking his website, thinking about what could be wrong. Leonardo's Monday to Friday looked like this. He was certain it mustn't be that difficult. He knew that his competitors were successfully selling to the same audience. So one day he decided to change things and hire a team specializing in SaaS sales to help him out. They quickly found Leonardo's issue. The product was great, but Leo was selling sales team analytics and his whole website was about features. The team told him that he should instead sell the dream outcome, the increased revenue from the pipeline. First, they decided that they wouldn't outcompete everyone, so they niched down in a more narrow market. And this would be teams selling solar panels. This would allow them to be the number one solution on the market. They changed his market message from "our product has feature X, go sign up," to "our product can help your sales team hit your revenue goals," or even better would be "our product can help your solar panel sales team achieve certain revenue metric. Here's first case study, second, and so on." Then they changed his acquisition channel from trying to rely on referrals to running 50,000 cold emails a month, posting content to a more niche audience, and building him an omni-phase sales process for running demos. They found a better timing to pitch their software because the solar panel team is actively hiring new reps, growing, and would have more difficulty managing effectiveness at scale. It didn't take long before Leonardo could buy his first yacht and then started throwing crazy parties like this. So going from Leonardo before to Leonardo after required a couple of key changes to his message market fit structure. They narrowed down the pain, the audience, crafted a new market message for their niche, picked a suitable acquisition channel, and identified the best timing to approach customers. Note, all these elements grow your startup only when all of them come together. So if the team did all but wouldn't be approaching the teams that are growing, the reply rate wouldn't be as good. Or if they continue pitching analytics instead of more deals. The closer you are to the revenue, the easier it is for you to scale long term. Keep in mind that you can have an awful product, awful design, incorrect message, and mess up 100 other things, but if the market is hot and hungry for your solution, you'll still be making sales. That's why picking the right market to play in is nearly half of the success. The way you find your message market fit is through running campaigns and testing elements on thousands of leads. And once done right, you hit it, or in numeric terms, start growing by 20% each month. In chapter 2, I will show you how to launch campaigns and analyze metrics to find your message market fit faster. Now let us touch on the topic of category design and how to escape the competition trap. Why you need to design your own category. This is one of the most powerful chapters in this one part. Here I will break down how to escape a better trap and create a market of one, even though you are in a highly competitive field. The magic spell you need is called category design. Imagine most solutions in your market range between X and 2X in price, but you are aiming to solve a more painful problem more efficiently, and you want to be converting customers at 5 to 10X pricing. Designing your own category is what will allow you to make this real. So most successful SaaS companies understand that if they have direct competitors, people will constantly compare them with other solutions on a feature level. And this is going to be a path to hell because you will end up with a zillion features, struggling to get people pay you $3 a month. That's why they create a new category where they are the only solution provider, which allows them to ultimately become the category leader and an ultimate solution of choice. Let's take Gong.io as an example, a software that allows teams get more from their meetings. As you can see from the picture, achieve your revenue goals with Gong, selling the end result. And what else do we find here is the number one revenue intelligence platform. This way, Gong is no longer a tool to script meetings for $5 a month. This solution empowers you with intelligence on your pipeline, selling you the millions you're about to make with it. And how much would a company doing 7 to 8 figures pay to hit the revenue goal? Even investing tens of thousands to get there would seem a no-brainer. And in 2023, Gong has hit a run rate of $178 million. And that's for a reason. So now let me introduce you to another example, which by today has already become so mainstream, many forget how it started. Meet Salesforce. Salesforce is a dashboard for collecting records and showing them in colorful pie charts, practically. But wait, does this sound like a company that could possibly do 32 billion in annual revenue? Not to me, but let's add some magic. And a colorful dashboard with charts becomes your key to making more sales, better service, and greater customer insight, as you can see H1 on their page. But there are numerous ways you can achieve those. So what's now? For nearly a decade, a company called Siebel Systems has dominated the customer relationship management market. Their software was expensive, complicated, and most importantly was installed on-premise. Salesforce went to market with a radically different way to provide CRM solutions. Instead of being on-premise, Salesforce would be delivered via the cloud, which at the time was a radical idea. Convincing IT leaders to trust all their data with a startup and reimagine how they use software was a major ask. Realizing this from day one, Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff focused on evangelizing the benefits of cloud software and decided to declare war on the idea of on-premise software. You can see how they've been even doing parties to that. He got the market to buy into his vision, and Salesforce was perfectly positioned to be the market leader in cloud software. My goal is not to make people create memes with you, as with Mark Benioff in this wonderful one, but to help you be seen as a category leader and dominate your market. Category design gets you better conversions, which is crucial for your campaign's success. It lowers your customer acquisition cost, and in the end, when a prospect is on the verge, it helps you close them into a sale, so you'd never need to answer why is this so expensive. I'll explain you how to do that in the next chapter. So how to design your unique category. First, you need to understand you don't need to fight for demand. In doing so, we consciously submit to someone else's rules. When you are the category king, the category becomes your kingdom, and you dictate the rules. This is what we want to go for. Step 0 would be demand and don't fight for it. No, you don't just go and create something out of nothing. Your starting point is the existing demand people have. You interrupt customers when they are searching for something, and then you educate them that they need something else. If you think you want that, but you really need this. And this is how you interrupted your purchasing pattern. This lets you create a gap in your customer's mind. Wait, I thought I needed this thing, but maybe I need this one thing. And this is your star moment to educate them on the correct way to solve their problem. Then, proceeding to step 1, tell the truth about the existing category by putting a differentiating word in front. So it's not a book, it's an e-book. It's not a software, it's cloud software. You get it. Even better when the existing category points out the problem with it by itself. Book means heavy and not portable. E-book solves this. You address the market pain and establish a category that disrupts it. Then, step 2, fine-tune the modifier so that it doesn't highlight just an issue with the product, but the issue with the fundamental business model of the legacy category. Example, most accelerators don't care about growing startups, which was my personal experience, and they run large batches, give a few tips and tricks on tweaking your pitch deck, and they put you in a demo day to fight for investors' attention with 100 of other founders. I believe that's wrong, and that's why with SaaS Camp I decided to design a new category, being performance-based accelerator. There is a smaller circle of founders inside, allowing the team to pay attention to the journey of each startup. Each startup has a dedicated success manager who checks in with them multiple times a week to ensure campaigns and growth are happening at the right pace. If I could change the screen right now easily, I would show you how we're tracking this in Airtable, and that we have basically all the startups who are inside. We can monitor their campaign KPIs and how they are proceeding through the progress. So And because the level of dedication is much higher, it allows for a performance-based model where startups cover 50 to 100% of the fee only after hitting an agreed revenue target. Step number 3 is you educate the customers on the differences between the old category and the new category. Here, the goal is to find super consumers, evangelists who will be spreading the word about your new vision. This kickstarts word of mouth and kickstarts rapid growth of your startup. In the next chapter, I'll explain you how to combine category design with correct pricing to convert people at 10 times higher profit margins without sacrificing sales cycle length. Okay, next one. How to price your SaaS. The secrets behind 10 times higher profit margins. First of all, this one is personal, because when it comes to this topic, I take it personally because this is one of the scars I will remember for life. Once, I created a community platform for founders where the idea was they'd share failures to make their journey easier. But never selling my own software products prior to that, I was shaking in each call. I was afraid to charge money, so I went for a classic finger in the air approach and came up with an idea to sell lifetime deals for $20. As my features weren't complete, I believed I should discount 50% of my deal. And below you see the screenshot which illustrates where I was starting out in the realm of pricing and sales. So for those of you who might be now discharging like 50 to 80%, making this insane discounts because your product is not completely ready yet, well, you now can see where I was starting, because I went such a low price, you could not go lower than that. $10 practically lifetime deal. So here's like a screenshot of few transactions, and basically weeks after launch, half of the users never came to the platform, and it's fun recalling my past self shaking in these calls for when pitching like this $10 lifetime deal. So years later, helping founders charge properly has become one of my missions. So in this chapter, I'll share lessons I learned between the screenshot above and helping over 100 entrepreneurs build their go-to-market strategy, achieving 8 to 10x higher profit margins and generating millions in new revenue as a result. The foundation is going to be people treat SaaS pricing like alchemy, pointing into the air with the finger, coming up with an amount, and then tweaking based on what people are saying. Even worse, when the founder is listening to the feedback of people who don't fit his ICP. Like you ask your friend, how much should I charge for it? He tells you like $30, and that's how you end up with it. Meanwhile, some other person who's your proper ICP would actually pay 100 times that. They call the entrepreneur insane, sort of modest for coming up with such a price, and after surveying a bunch of people, come up with random pricing. Once I had a chat with my friend Farouk, and he's got insane skills at making SaaS videos, but during our call, I thought that he may not be selling to the best possible audience, and there must be companies willing to pay more. His tweet saying, "Yo, just had a chat with Denis, underrated goat in the SaaS space. The man clearly knows his stuff." Appreciate these words. So I've shared a few of my ideas for tweaking the pain, the business model, and the message, and it didn't take long before he started closing sales at multiple times the initial margins. So there are a couple of crucial elements that let you sell at a better price quicker. One is solving a big pain. Second, solving this pain for a wealthy audience with the expensive cost of inaction, which we'll discuss in the next chapter in detail. Communicating you have a solution to the big problem they have, not the tiny part of it. Examples of how founders typically get this wrong is A. CRM for design agencies selling to teams of 1 to 3 people who can still manage their pipeline in Google Docs. They would have low cost of inaction. The next one, founder of Amazon listings generating tool selling to freelancers and not to wealthy Amazon businesses or agencies. A real case we solved, you might remember Britain from the beginning. Founder of a tool for analyzing sales meetings, selling it as an audio recorder, not as an increased pipeline revenue. And here you would be miscommunicating the big pain you're solving. After we got the foundations of high margin pricing out of the way, now we can dive into the idea of value-based pricing. So, value-based pricing. Once I was doing a go-to-market strategy for UK startup in the biotech sector. They charged 6 figures for an annual license, but after spending 3 hours on their GTM, we noticed something wasn't right. The startup has been helping pharmaceutical companies develop new drugs to save time on drug approval. So, and basically this drug testing. So we started to calculate how much the pain was really worth for them. We started putting down all the costs like doctors, researchers, facilities, operations, equipment, and the list kept increasing. We combined all the salaries and inefficiencies, and then we figured how much time and money these companies would be saving if they were to switch to the startup software. It was between 6 to 12 million, depending on the company type. And that's how we found out the pricing is actually worth a dozen times more. And to do value-based pricing, 2 things. Calculate the costs your ideal prospects are paying by not purchasing from you, and then you can charge 10 to 50% of that. Usually you end up at 10 to 20%. If you can have badass case studies and social proof, you can close at a higher figure. And this gets you into a totally different game. In chapter 1, we broke down the principles of successful market positioning, covered the concept of dynamic marketing and its importance for early stage startups. Then we created our value proposition, designed our own unique category, and found our value-based price. In the next chapter, we'll connect our market positioning foundation with other elements of hybrid customer acquisition system. First, outbound lead generation, and then we'll fuel it even more by adding inbound traffic. Chapter 2, outbound lead gen. First of all, we're going to talk about difference between demand creation offers versus demand capture offers and how you need to acquire leads. Before you rush to build campaigns and send messages, it's essential to understand the difference between demand creation and demand capture offers. This chapter may save you from spending years on pushing customer acquisition through the channel which just wouldn't work for your startup from the get-go. There are 2 types of offers, or types of value proposition in this world, the ones which create and the ones which capture. For demand creation offers, it is possible to filter out people and propose them a better way to achieve their goal. You create demand, whereas in demand capture, you need to capture leads once they express interest. At a certain level, it is possible to combine both, as you just have enough cash to invest. But most times, selecting incorrect channel kills a startup as they run out of money before getting enough traction. Demand creation offer examples. A SaaS A helps real estate agencies analyze their deal flow and sell more. How you can create demand. You find contacts of real estate agencies and run cold email, LinkedIn, and cold calling campaigns. You sell them more sales in your copy, and as you scale, you then reinvest into SEO, events, and content. SaaS B helps Amazon marketing agencies track campaign conversions across channels and rank their products quicker. How you create demand. You send cold email and LinkedIn campaigns asking these agencies if they're using omni-channel tracking to rank products quicker and sell them this unique mechanism for getting better results, i.e. more business. Demand capture offer examples now. SaaS C is an AI logo maker. It asks you questions and then creates a logo that you will love. SaaS C is a startup I worked with, and growing it taught me the painful lesson of why understanding demand capture versus demand creation matters so much. Initially, when growing Mojimox, brand key generator, we've been trying to niche down persona, thinking who would be the hungriest to get such logos and run outbound to design agencies to save them time. Even though it was somewhat working, but not to the level we wanted. So when we switched to the strategy of demand capture channels, like ads, SEO, and content marketing, things became a ton better very quickly, resulting in tens of thousands of dollars in new revenue within months. Since then, I strongly differentiate the growth strategies for products for which you capture demand. Here, you've seen how one strategic decision can really impact your growth trajectory. And especially when you're doing fundraising, and you got the next milestones for your rounds lined up, this matters really much. Since then, I strongly differentiate the growth strategies for products for which you capture demand. And is it possible to grow demand capture products via outbound? Yes, but you need to ramp volume. We're talking 5,000 emails a day, 10 LinkedIn accounts, etc. Because as you can't filter out people who need the product most badly, you need to run campaigns for everyone, or just stick to demand creation channels and run an easier business. Let's take Airbnb as product D. How much easier is it to sell an accommodation in a certain place for someone who is looking for a place to stay there rather than to a random person? A ton. So that's why channels which grow Airbnb best, they capture the incoming demand from people. And that's why they've been relying on SEO, ads, partnerships, and so on. And imagine how pathetic it would be for Airbnb to try to get the first 1,000 customers through, not the 1,000 customers, but the first 100,000 customers through cold email. It would take them decades before they would get any traction. Then SaaS E is Shopify. Same story, you can't scrape a list of people who want to build an online business. Yes, you can find them in groups and build a lead list from there, but this approach wouldn't get them where they are today. So that's why you see Shopify scale through ads, SEO, YouTube, and outdoor advertising. The way for them to grow is to be the tool of choice for creating an online store. So when you decide to create one, you choose them. Now, think about your product and understand if you capture demand or if you create demand. Or just book a call with me on SaaScam's website and I'll tell you. In this part, we're going to be talking about strategies for outbound lead generation, which are essential for demand creation offers. Then I'll go through inbound lead gen, which grows demand capture products or fuels growth for demand creation ones. How to get thousands of leads for your B2B SaaS in just 40 minutes. Finding leads like Apollo, Crunchbase, and a few things like that. Yeah, here I listed a few things we'll be covering. And now, once we figured out which type of acquisition we should be going for, we need leads. But how can we get enough fuel for the campaigns that are reaching thousands of prospects a day, making sure we are always getting in front of people? In this chapter, I'll go through platforms we use to get tens of thousands of leads in just 40 minutes. The first one, LinkedIn Sales Navigator, a classic place to get contacts from. An advanced tip I can give for this one is using Boolean search filters. Here's an example. So you want to find SaaS startups to sell to, but every time you apply filters, you constantly get consultants, freelancers, and agencies. To solve this, you can use these words in your filters. Software startup or SaaS, not agency, not consulting. And this is, from the picture, you can see how this would look like. LinkedIn Sales Nav is a go-to solution for most B2B SaaS startups for a reason. If you're in mid-ticket to enterprise level sales, your customers are there. Next one, Phantom Buster. The next thing you do after the LinkedIn Sales Navigator is you extract all the thousands of leads so you can reach them via cold email. This is because cold email doesn't restrict you with any limits, unlike LinkedIn. So you go to Phantom Buster, it doesn't restrict you as long as you diversify domains and do everything correctly. So you go to Phantom Buster and scrape thousands of contacts. Ideally, you would want to use a fake LinkedIn account when doing it, so no matter which volume you do, LinkedIn doesn't punish you. But usually up to 3K leads per account per week is fine. This is a screenshot from Phantom Buster. In such way, you can launch a campaign on people on LinkedIn and retarget them with cold emails. For most first-degree connections on LinkedIn, you will be able to scrape the personal email addresses and phone numbers that are publicly available on their LinkedIn profiles. An email discovery service takes a LinkedIn user's full name and company name. Its technology searches for professional email addresses, verifies them, and adds them to your results spreadsheets. You get it. The email enrichment rate will be between 35 and 65%, as it is not always possible to find email addresses for every profile. And the success rate widely depends on the sector you are scraping. So steps for scraping with Phantom Buster would look the following way. upload the URLs of the LinkedIn profiles you want to scrape data and emails from, then specify the number of profiles to process per launch. Next, you enrich your leads with verified professional email addresses, set the phantom on repeat, and download a CSV spreadsheet or JSON file of all your LinkedIn profile data and emails. The next option I'm gonna cover here is about Crunchbase. Crunchbase is one of the best startup databases. It lets you filter companies by sectors, rounds of funding, and most importantly, by their niches. So if you're targeting IT companies in specific niches, that is one of the best places to search for leads. Great resource, but there is one downside. It costs a couple $1,000s for access. There are ways you can bypass the payment gateway though, which I can't share in this one video, but which we share with startups inside SaaS Camp. Here are some of most frequently used search filters. Region. This filter is helpful if your team is divided into territories or if your product is targeted to a specific region of the world. Then industries and industry groups are the umbrella that our industries fall under. Basically, you can use either filter type to get more specific about the companies you're targeting. Then funding amount is going to be narrow down your search based on how much funding a company has raised. And last funding date, one of the strongest trigger events. A recent last funding date means a company has a net new budget ready to spend. Apollo. Now it has become nearly as popular as LinkedIn Sales Navigator, and it is well deserved. I think they're, as I remember, publicly listed already and have IPO'd recently. Apollo has hundreds of millions of contacts, which made it one of the go-to databases for lead scraping. And Apollo email tracking and optimization, I'm gonna comment on that. An important part of any email campaign is tracking your email success rates and continuing to optimize. So in the Apollo app, navigate to campaigns and analytics, and here you will find your analytics dashboard, where you can track, build out, and customize dozens of reports, including reports specific to your email campaigns like percentages, open rates, bounce rates, how many contacts added to the sequence. Then you can compare high to low performing sequences, SDR, email efficiency stats, and more. Using the information learned from the analytics tool, you can conduct A/B testing with Apollo to discover which email campaigns are having the most success. Your A/B test in Apollo is going to look like this. Here, the main benefit of Apollo is the variety of leads you can get. The downside is that many valid contacts will appear to be invalid after you clean the list. And Apollo may cost you between $500 and a few $1,000s, but paying this every other day would eat your entire runway. And this is why we use it in the combination with one other tool. The reason why I here go through validating contacts, not sure if you're familiar with the concept, but you cannot run campaigns to unverified leads because this will kill your domain authority and it will mark you for Google that you are spamming, and you're gonna face like 30 to 50% spam rates on your campaigns, which is not gonna get you anywhere. And basically a few of the tools in this video, which I go through from me creating this doc some time ago, they have already been updated. So to figure out, okay, what would be the most fresh way, just DM me. Here, this thing called Export Apollo lets you bypass Apollo's extraction limits and get 35,000 contacts for $100. And the way you integrate it into your lead scraping phase is first you build a lead list in Apollo using all the wonderful filters, and then you use this tool to get the emails. Next one, going to be secret sauce number 2, is Better Contact Rocks. And now we got to the topic of multi-level enrichment and the next powerful tool on our list. Here, when you get leads from Apollo, many contacts you'll get will appear to be invalid or dated. But this doesn't mean that there won't be correct info in other databases. So Better Contact is built so that after one of the softwares cannot find the email, it goes to another software that can. And this way, if after cleaning your list, you'd get 3,000 valid emails out of 5,000, Better Contact would get you 3.5/4.5, which allows you to save money and basically be more effective with that. Think about it as accessing 10 databases at once. Next one is gonna be store leads. And store leads lets you scrape contacts of people in e-commerce. So it's one of the go-to tools when you're growing a Shopify app or want to sell to DTC businesses. To scrape and verify e-com leads, you scrape on store leads, then you enrich with Apollo, copy URLs from the CSV you get, paste into Apollo, filter your job titles, and that's how you would get the list. Pro tip is use ChatGPT to get you even more relevant job titles. Use this prompt, describe what your business does, in brackets, and then I'm looking to build a lead list of people that I should be reaching out to sell to. Can you provide me an extensive list of job titles that we should be reaching out to? And this would get you an idea of, for example, say you are about to test 5 audiences and 2 of them are the ones you've never come across with in the past. For example, for me it would be something like farming, agricultural businesses, don't know anything about them, and I would need to understand, okay, what are the job roles and positions called of the decision makers that I need to reach. This prompt is going to help you figure this out. Next tool on the market is built by my friend Andre, and the key benefit from ListKit is that here they don't charge you for invalid contacts, unlike other tools, and you wouldn't need to pay extra for contact validation because they triple verify it for you. Next one is PowerLeads.io, and this one is optimal when you need to get emails of creators from YouTube, and this lets you find super niche audiences at scale. And to this date, it's the only tool for getting thousands of YouTubers contacts quickly by dozens of parameters. And these are the guys I have been working with. Pro tip, it's going to be never bounce. So many founders scrape the list from one of the tools above and jump straight into running campaigns. Then their bounce rate goes beyond 10%, and this ruins domain health. Emails start falling in spam and campaigns fail. Because of that, your sending domains would be messed up for half a year, as I mentioned, and if you don't follow the instructions from cold email campaign setup, this would put you with your outbound sales on a long winter break, which would look like this. To prevent this from happening, you should run the emails through a verification tool. And there are a few of them on the market, but we tend to use Never Bounce more often. What you do is you upload a list of 1K people into it. It would get rid of invalid contacts, which can ruin your campaigns. And because of, if your bounce rate is above like 1 to 3%, if you, for example, get into 4 to 6% zone, then Google would think you're spamming and in all ways are going to try to put you into people's spam folders. So good job for following this chapter to the end and hearing this important step, because otherwise you'd just kill your cold email campaigns. Next chapter, cold email campaign setup to reach 50,000 contacts a month with a 50% open rate. Now we got the lead problem out of the way and have thousands of contacts who have a high probability of purchasing from us. Next, we need a foundation that will let us reach all of them without getting our business in spam lists and reaching all of the leads with high open rates in the fastest way possible. The way we're going to do it is by setting up additional email domains. And this is our insurance against getting our main domain into spam. Pro tip is get domains that finish with .com, as the deliverability on them is going to be higher. Like basically we put SPF, DKIM and DMARC records onto the domains and then throw them into warm-up tools. Regarding the first node is, imagine if you have a thing which is called, I don't know, Green Book, you would not get greenbook.info, but instead you would go for something longer like joingreenbook.com or try starting greenbook.com. Even though this sounds long, it would still work better than .info/ some .xyz domain names. Again, we want to switch on SPF, DKIM and DMARC records on our domains, because otherwise this would not work. Reminder, don't forget to set up redirects and add profile pictures to all domains after you purchase them. warming up the domain means getting it to exchange emails with a few other domains. So yeah, if you're not familiar with what this warm up even means, what it's going to be doing is it's going to be exchanging emails with other accounts in the network, and doing this will show Google that this is a human using it and it won't get spam listed. You do this for 14 days, and before sending any outbound messages, sending 40 warm-up emails per day at a 40 to 50% reply rate. Yeah, so quick reminder is you never switch off your warm-up, but you just don't send anything for 2 weeks, and then after the 2-week period, you start at 20 emails per day, and these are numbers which are true for January 24. We start at 20 emails per day and put 10 extra emails into warm-up, and then we gradually increase by 5 emails every week until we hit 40 emails per account. Then there are a few ways we can achieve even more out of this, like with getting multiple users per each domain. But if you're just starting this out, you don't need to overcomplicate it. We need to monitor that domains don't get burned, which is the most common reason people's campaigns land into spam. So as you start reaching prospects, you never switch off your warm-up because it's your insurance against burning domains. And while increasing the sending volume by 5 to 10 emails per week, you adjust your email warm-up numbers accordingly. Your emails have to be unique to show ESPs that you're not spamming, and that's exactly why we continuously A/B test between 3 to 5 variations at a time. The thing you also want to be using is spin tags, because imagine that you send the same copy to 20,000 people. Google will notice it, even if you do it slowly and over a 6-month period. That's why using spin tags, you would be randomizing one of the elements of your copy so that even after running practically the same message for a year, because you know it's validated, as it would be always randomized in one place or another, it would be safer. As you scale the system up to, you get to 2,000 emails per day from all your domains. And if you look after your campaign health, you'd be sending that at 50 to 90% open rate. Fantastic. This cold email campaign setup makes it really hard for you to end up without calls and without getting more product demos. And usually if you are sending tens of thousands of emails like this, if your copy is correct and your messaging and market positioning makes sense, you must get calls and sales out of this. But what we do is we not only set up this cold email infrastructure, but also we combine it with LinkedIn outbound campaigns, because as you remember, for most startups and for you yourself, I guess most likely your audience will be on LinkedIn. So the fastest way to plug a hybrid customer acquisition system into your startup is to put emails on warm-up first, and while you're doing the warm-up, you begin your LinkedIn outreach. For 90% of B2B SaaS startups that have demand creation offers, the audience can be reached via cold email and LinkedIn. And for that reason, we integrate these customer acquisition channels at SaaS Camp most often. So the email domains are on warm-up, check, but we don't want to sit for weeks expecting results. This would never get us results we hit with Jillian, closing the B2B SaaS sale from a cold funnel in just 6 days after launching. So here she shared how she celebrates closing the sale from cold outreach campaigns just 6 days after we launched. We helped her identify an ideal customer profile, set up campaigns, and handle objections, which brought us results that fast. Then structuring your LinkedIn campaigns with 42 steps, like this one, is going to start with understanding a few key principles. In the picture, you see the outbound connection campaign, but as we scale, we also craft the group and event campaigns similar to this one. And I think this one screenshot I took from our Dripify account that we're running for our business. To get started, you need to have an optimized profile, and then you add your lead list into a LinkedIn automation tool, set up the positive scenario connection flow, and then the negative scenario connection flow. And later you extend this via group and event funnels. Let me break this down for you. So profile optimization, you need to make sure that people see you as an authority. And there are a couple of elements we need to put together to achieve it. First of all, headline. We should explain your value without being too salesy. Otherwise, connection acceptance rate will be below 25%, so we'll be burning through our list. And we want to avoid the word help, as it's overused by different salespeople. So for our banner, we should explain the value in more detail and illustrate social proof. In our About section, it has to explain the journey from A to B, making people resonate with what you do, with social proof. And typically, we use the Pastor copywriting framework to make it more compelling, which stands for problem, amplify, solution, transformation, offer, and response. Recommendations, the more the better, as you understand. And for those who don't know, at the lower down in your LinkedIn profile, you can get recommendations from people. Of course, the more you have, the higher connection acceptance rate you'll have. Then, pre-request flow. Once the fundamentals are in place, we start running an automation. Most founders think their flow has to begin with a connection request. Then that's wrong, because you start with view profile, like the post, like second post to get in prospects' eyes first. Adding intervals between them allows you to boost the acceptance rate, and if you dialed in your profile optimization, it would result in prospects booking a call with you even before you send a request. Or in other words, imagine you nailed your profile and the way it looks and your offer. You just like people's stuff, and automatically, as you see, they then go check out your profile, check out your website, and book a demo call with you. And this happening multiple times a week is an ideal scenario, which we want to get to after 2-3 months. So connection request is basically multiple ways to approach it, is with one tactic becoming more successful. Months later, it becomes so widespread that it becomes the least successful. No matter the approach, you want to keep it casual, typically avoiding pitching in the request itself, and always A/B testing your variations. Now, regarding positive connection flow. Once they accept the request, do not send a message straight away. It becomes obvious it's automated, and that's why you want to use a 1 to 3 hour pause before sending the next message, so it's more natural. In our positive connection flow, we usually use between 7 and 12 steps, combining follow-ups, likes, profile visits, and more follow-ups. Some of our most successful campaigns didn't include a pitch in the messages 1 and 2, but rather had a qualifying question 1, qualifying question 2, and then a custom invitation to the call based on answers to the first 2 messages. Right, and then in the negative connection flow, another common mistake is creating campaigns in basically only leveraging what happens if they do accept, but there's equal amount of things you can do in case they don't accept straight away. So if they don't accept it, you still can continue automated engagement for their content for 3 days and then send an email to give it another shot. For emails, 2 options. You can do the non-salesy way, pinging them about the request you sent, and you can do the salesy way, which is including your offer, social proof, and call to action. For your LinkedIn campaigns, play all your cards to maximum. Oftentimes, after we restructure the founder's outbound LinkedIn system, their hand goes from this one to something like this. And next, we want to talk about 4 cold email hooks that book meetings. Now our campaign setup for reaching thousands of prospects is done. So you need to craft a campaign copy that will resonate with prospects and make them want to book a call with you at 2 a.m. Typically, when we aim to find a startup's message market fit, we test 4 cold email campaigns with 5 emails in each. And then we also do 3 LinkedIn campaigns with 7 to 12 steps in each. Doing such extensive A/B testing, or rather ABCDEFG kind of testing, allows us to find message market fit in weeks and increase the month-over-month growth rate so that we can hit even better revenue milestones while people are in the program. In this chapter, I'll walk you through what these campaigns look like and why we follow such structure. Authority angle, case study angle, question, free value angle. Depending on the startup and the niche and what you sell, you can rarely guess which one is going to be performing best, but that's why we test all of them. So for email hooks, authority angle. This angle is about you showing your authority or an impressive achievement as your email hook. Think something like this. I've been a CFO at 2 companies, getting them from 6 figures to a $12 million exit. Want me to have a look at your finances? This one, yeah, keeping it simple. I have grown an agency from 0 to 10 million in revenue in this one niche, and we built an internal tool to solve certain challenge. Interested in seeing a demo? You want to drop something impressive that would present you as an authoritative figure straight in their first line. This gets them to read to the end and believe something you're offering is worth their time and worth getting on this call. One mistake I've seen one founder make today is they put the word call in their copy. This is one of the rules and things you want to avoid, because you never want to be inviting people to the call, because no one wants to get on calls. But rather, you want to be inviting them to get a certain benefit. So next one is a case study angle. Here we present a case study about helping a similar company, what makes the reader resonate with it. Example, we got X results for Y. Would you like me to show you how it would help you achieve the same? For instance, our product has recently helped ABC, a fintech Series A startup, save $370K in taxes by optimizing their international tax filing. And as you're in a similar stage with company name, I thought you'd be interested to take a look at it. See how I wrote this about Series A startup. If you scrape the database of Series A startups, the reply rate to such a case study angle would be higher. Equally, you can launch another campaign for a list of startups that raised Series B, and this is how you can do like personalization at scale. Next one is a question angle. So humans' brains are programmed to read questions, and this principle is often used in email copywriting. Are you currently facing this challenge? Or the one case how you would often hear it is, are you experiencing back pain? I guess you've seen this a million times, and this is because it works. We built a tool that helps audience solve this challenge through this mechanism. Would you like to take a look? Next one we test is a free value angle, and free value angle is way more applicable for startups operating in niches that require more upfront trust or are selling to enterprises. And also the one thing I would mention is you often go with the free value angle in highly saturated environments like e-commerce or SaaS, which are practically bombarded by a zillion emails each day. There, it's harder to stand out, so you want to offer something for free first. Free value angle is way more applicable for startups operating in niches that require more upfront trust, as I mentioned, and free value could be a webinar, a lead magnet, or a video, or whatever you come up with, which would be valuable for your audience. Once you validate it, we can endlessly run more traffic to it. Example, I recorded a quick video about how to solve this challenge. If you are this kind of person, want me to send it over. On this lead magnet page, you'd explain how they can achieve their desired outcome using your product and put a large sign up / book a call button. The way it would look is, let me come up with something on the spot. So free value can be webinar, lead magnet, and video. And talking about the video version is, imagine we are selling something like a project management tool for accounting firms. Could be something like, I recorded a quick video about how you can achieve a certain metric which accounting firms care about, which you as a founder would know. Unfortunately, the one I don't know is in detail. And this is crafted for accounting firms. So want me to send it over. Then let me reverse engineer it. Hi name, I recorded a quick video how you can grow your accelerator by this amount without needing to hire more people. Would you like me to send it over? I'd be like, yes, why not? Now it's easier. So on this lead magnet page, you'd be explaining how they can achieve this benefit. And of course, you'd have the funnel towards them booking a call out of it, because yeah, sure, you want to be providing people value, but ideally you want to also get sales from them. Right, so finding your best angle. Once we have the hooks, we then write 5 follow-ups emails for each and basically launch the campaigns. As we run them, we're comparing the reply rates and conversions so that after 4 weeks, we would see what we should be doubling down on. And in the next topic, I would like to talk about copywriting principles for cold outreach campaigns, because it's one thing to understand how your copy needs to look like. However, so many times founders mess small things up, which over some time compound to be like mistakes which cause us or cause them complete failures with their campaigns. So when doing outbound, you got to regularly write tens of new emails and messages for your campaigns. And in this chapter, I'll share key principles for crafting copy for your outbound, which I often see founders get wrong. Number 1, don't sell in your first cold message. Classic. Founder opens the email sending tool, writes, "I built this, go buy it," and then spends months wondering why his outbound isn't working. People don't put their card out on the first interaction. We want to have a few, like 7+ touch points with them first. In our initial message, the goal is to get a reply or for them to open a link, not a sale. The only exception would be super low ticket products under $100, which you can be selling. Imagine one of your lower ticket plans starts as below 100, then you can just mention the price amount to overcome this hidden objection. But usually we don't want to talk about price in our first message unless it's your comparative advantage. And then cut the fluff, remove every word you can remove. Especially in cold outreach, we need to keep it as concise as possible. Make clear CTAs. Every week I go through another campaign that has no call to action, and which makes it seem as the person has written the email to themselves. We should finish with a question or invite them to click. If question, it should be a yes/no, so that it's easier for the person to reply. Use hooks that will resonate. This is The Lord of the Rings by J.R. Tolkien. J.R. Tolkien has the privilege to reserve the first 200 pages for the introduction to get the reader hooked into their universe. In our outbound campaigns, instead of 200 pages, we got to squeeze it into 20 words. So we better start our copy with something they will immediately care about, a question about the painful problem, an impressive result, or how we helped someone in the same shoes. Now, better targeting would give us better results. Send and pray tactic can eventually work, but it's not just as time effective. It makes a ton more sense to scrape multiple niche audiences and write a compelling copy for each, rather than targeting all B2B businesses in the world. For example, we built an analytics dashboard for aircraft managers. It can help you estimate fuel spending, analyze flight trajectories, and in 2022 it saved Lufthansa 4%, 20 million plus on their fleet operating costs. Interested to take a look? And this one would be converting so much better than this one. We have an analytics tool for businesses, want to take a look. Who would care? We both know which email would get more replies when sent to the correct audience. Even if your tool could help you both people in the logistics and aircraft industries, we just get massively higher reply rates when creating a campaign separately for each niche. As now we have a clear picture on who we should target and how to get them on calls through outbound, in the next chapter I will go through ways we get startups more inbound demos. The beautiful part about inbound is that people who get on calls with you while they approach you rather than you approach them are usually warmer and they're easier to sell to. And of course, for certain startups, you can rely on inbound for ages, but usually if you look at large enterprises, they oftentimes go there through combination of outbound activity and inbound. So now, how can we nail your inbound? Why most startups struggle to book demos through content. You get outputs depending on your inputs. No matter whether it's a gym, lead generation, or content marketing. This is what most founders' content marketing looks like. I mean, it's better than doing nothing at all, but it's completely disproportionate. Massive arms and skinny legs. And the reason why new startups get nearly zero inbound demo requests is because they skip the leg day, or in other words, they never write authority posts. In the next chapters, I'll explain the AAA content marketing role in detail, but for now, we'll review the first A, which stands for authority. See, when you post about fishing, you attract the audience interested in fishing. When you write about feature updates, you attract developers also shipping feature updates. But to attract customers, you have to showcase your authority, or in other words, to show how your product gets people results. Say you have 10 posts scheduled for this week. What are all of them about? Some news about your startup, some feature updates, and some tips for your audience, I guess. From such content, something becomes clear. To get people to book a demo, they need to see how your product delivered dream results for somebody just like them. When leads constantly see results the product gets for people in the same niche, they feel fear of missing out on and not getting the same. When we change this one thing about startups' content marketing, we are able to add a healthy pack of inbound bookings weekly. So the magic change that helped startups I worked with to turn inbound from a time-consuming headache into a sales engine was posting case studies, users' results, testimonials, and interviews. Next one, how to create a 6-month content plan in just 10 minutes. Or in other words, creating your personal content matrix. In the old days, we had to schedule 2 days to do content research and prepare a content plan for 260 posts. Today, we do this in 10 minutes. And in this chapter, I'll show you how. This is the exact approach we used with Foodoo, a food tech startup from Manchester, to help them get inbound meetings with restaurant chain directors and decision makers. Since then, we have been using this content marketing matrix for every startup. Step 1. You need a list of problems your ideal customers have. And that's because good content solves a problem. And we're going to aim our content marketing at solving those for our ICP. We go to ChatGPT and ask it for a list of 20 problems our ideal customers often face. Step 2. Now we create a Google Sheet with these problems as rows listed on the left and columns. We're going to have 20 content formats. Here are some of them, like story, contrarian format, listicle, question, giveaway, before and after, observation, and there are many more. For example, your SaaS is helping manufacturing companies operate their logistics. ICP's problem. One of the problems manufacturing companies face, which you help them to solve with your product, is not being able to monitor delays in production. Your content with one idea repurposed many times is going to be story. We used to be blind when it came to production delays, but after building X, we finally can see if we made the product on time. Contrarian. Most manufacturing companies operate their production wrong, while they need to finally start tracking delays. Next, in the form of a question. 5 things each manufacturing company can do to fix production delays. A, B, C, D, E. And so on. So leverage it. Congrats, now you have 400 Google Sheet cells that you can fill in. Writing 2 posts a day, you have 6.5 months of content pieces to put out. And as you understand, you don't write 6 posts on one idea in a row, but rather you move through each idea one by one and change formats, so your profile is not repetitive. Now talking about this AAA content rule and 5 types of posts that we use. Good content marketing is balanced. It solves buyers' problems, connects them with the brand, and converts them into a sale. But if marketing is the face of the brand, most startups' face looks like Arnold's. That's because they only post one form of content, using the same structure, and then get surprised why their face isn't balanced or doesn't convert traffic into customers. So in this chapter, I will share the AAA content rule, which helps teams get their content to work. Awareness content. Awareness content is posting on topics that facilitate the account's growth. Usually, this is posting on how to solve ICP's problems or writing on topics trending in your niche, so you can get on a hype train. Be careful not to turn into another trending AI tools account when doing this, because you want to stick to content topics that make sense for your audience and for your ICP, that basically the following and the audience you want to be building. So awareness content lets you expose your account to more people and capture more leads in your network. Authority content goes in a different direction. So the aim of this one is to showcase your credibility, or in our case, to prove that the product helps people get results. This type of content may not have the most reach, but it gets the most leads. Case studies, how X achieved Y result during using our solution, and then how X was struggling until they did ABC. For example, say how this one marketing agency was struggling with their finances unless they done these three things. They removed wrong people, they changed their strategy, and they installed our fantastic SaaS that fixed their 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then how-to guides. This is how to get X great result without Y obstacle. Plug your tool inside the guide. So for instance, how to get more signups on your website without hiring a website developer. Here are 7 steps that will get you from X to Y. And then when we consistently post case studies, we encourage semi-interested leads to get on calls. Also, it helps us convert more people from outbound as they see we're legit. Next one, authenticity content. This one helps you create the market of one, so people buy from you because it's you. This is achieved by sharing your story, and that's exactly why so many CEOs of companies selling pure, boring commodities like Walmart and Apple share their biographies and talk about their challenges and story, because it gets the audience to resonate with you. Examples: how our company faced X challenge and got to Z result despite Y obstacle. Then how we went from bad to great despite this challenge. Then why I do what I do. Next, my favorite thing to do on Sunday, or why I love Tarantino movies. So in authenticity content is also an opportunity to put the audience that you serve on a pedestal. Think of the way Apple portrays the creators, or how Nike talks about sportsmen, you know. Side note, please don't make it cringe, as many other people or on LinkedIn do. Because if you're gonna be starting something like God bless accountants, or marketing agency owners are heroes, you get it. Next, I will share content validation formula. So now we know about which things we need to be posting and what our general content plan shall be about. But how do we know which post performed better, if we should be posting from one angle or the other? For that, we have the content validation formula. The content can be considered validated if impressions divided by likes is more than 1%. So keep in mind, this ratio depends on the platform. Twitter versus LinkedIn versus Facebook. And it's better to compare your personal account's average to alternatives. So if you take your last month's posts and see that across 90% of them you average not 1 but 2%, then CVF adjusts accordingly. Like impressions divided by likes means should be average percent in last month's post plus 1%. If this ratio is true, you can consider the post validated and repurpose the idea explained there more often so you can grow quicker. Content scheduling tools that we use have embedded analytics to track it. So comparing this ratio lets you get more engagement from leads and start more conversations and sell more. This part explained hybrid customer acquisition system. So how to get leads from multiple channels. In the next part, I'll cover omni-phase sales process, a mechanism that we use to have cold leads be warmed up prior to call, so we close 10 to 30% more of them. Cool. The next thing we want to do is we want to look at our sales process, because none of it makes sense if eventually you cannot close all the people who are coming into your pipeline into enough price check. So Omniface sales process model overview. When you get the first 10, 20, 30 call week, you think you'll never have an issue with sales again. At some point it's true, but without being able to close prospects on these calls, they're worth nothing. The issue with getting people from outbound is most of them haven't been consuming your content for months and don't trust you yet. In order to fix it, our role is to turn cold prospects into warm as fast as possible. We want to feed them with case studies, social proof, testimonials, and so much more proof of competence that they minimize the doubt that their process is going to get them to their dream outcome. Then, high chance, if it's mid-ticket or enterprise level sales, they aren't going to purchase right on a call. So we got to build a system that will still be converting them months after we initially speak to them. Such way, when structuring our sales process, we need a way to get cold prospects warm and pre-sold on our solution before the call. And this is what we're going to cover in the part called pre-call, chapter 1 of this thing. Then find their pain, dream outcome, and show that our solution is the bridge they need. This is going to be covered in the part called call. And then keep them engaged until they buy, which is the post-call part we're going to be covering in chapter 3 of this part. And the model we use to do it is called Omniface sales process. Here you can see different things happening pre-call, call, and post-call. And it helps us maximize the chances of converting leads into customers as we occupy their mind during all the phases of a sales cycle. In this part, in the next 3 chapters, I'm going to walk you through components of this OPSP and how we integrate it to grow sales for SaaS startups. First one, chapter 1, is going to be about what needs to happen before they meet you so that you have maximum chances of potentially closing them in one. Most businesses think that the sales process begins on the call. It doesn't. In reality, before people book a call with you, they check out your site, socials, look you up on Google, and sometimes ask people in your testimonials for a reference. That's why you want to have all of them on point to get more bookings. In this part, I'm not going to tell you how to make a website or post articles on Google, but instead we'll cover what happens after the steps of them booking the call to personal check-in, which happens before the call. So the call booking page. We don't want to pay for leads to go all the way to our call booking page and drop out there. To fix it, we need multiple components. A shorter VSL, booking option, extra social proof, and FOMO. Once a person gets to this page, they need one final push to fill in their details. For that, we're going to have a founder record a quick video regarding what happens on a call and embed a part of customer's video testimonial there organically. In this video, we cover what the agenda will look like and how the other person benefited shortly after having this one conversation, i.e. we installed our solution for them on day 10 and on day 15, this one guy made so much money. Below the calendar, we're going to put another bit of social proof. And quick reminder here is it's very rare when you would have too much social proof, usually the more the better. And we'll add happy customer's face to increase conversions because faces convert. Lastly, we want to add an incentive to book right now. Best option is scarcity with X products left, but as we run the SaaS business, this won't work and just ruin the credibility. However, what we can do is provide a limited bonus. If you book by this date, you'll also get this lead magnet your ICP would pay for. And same thing can apply for our sales process as well, meaning it's like usually saying that, oh, our product is limited. Everyone knows you run a software business, so it doesn't work. However, if you say that, for example, until a certain date, we're also doing this one thing where we would do a complementary setup, for example, help them do migration for free, which you would do either way, this can be an extra incentive to get them to decision-making process quicker. So we want to do lead segmentation. To get most of the call, we need to get into it having background info on the business. And we don't want to book 1-hour calls with prospects who were never qualified to have a solution in the first place. The way we solve it is via lead segmentation process, the screening questions we add to the call booking step. There, we want to ask core parameters by which we can evaluate the level of intention of the person scheduling the demo. The way we do it with startups is having this booking data go directly to our CRM via Zapier. And this is a snippet of the way it works inside SaaS Camp. Basically, we're tracking that these are the channels where people are coming from, and it's like mostly LinkedIn and cold email. So later, this tracking allows you to track, to see how each channel is performing and see where to put more focus. Note that the more questions you ask during lead segmentation, proportionally the lower your booking rate will be. So that's why you want to find this sweet spot where you don't get non-quality bookings. And the quality guys submit just enough information for them to show up, but still not to get annoyed by all the tweaks you put there. Next thing we want to have is the asset gallery page. After they book a call, we want to get them into our world even further. That's why they get redirected to the asset gallery page. AGP serves the purpose of selling a prospect on our unique mechanism and selling them on the ability of our mechanism to deliver results. Remember, we covered category design in part 1, so here we have leads' attention to capture them into our new category. Explaining unique mechanism, we fill the page with testimonials which prove that it works, and we send them an email with the same link so they have it. In short terms, imagine you sell people on the cloud software idea, so before the call you want to educate them even more why this cloud software idea is so powerful and why they would miss out if they don't go for such belonging to certain niche. The next thing we want to have is pre-call warm-up sequence. So we want to maximize our show-up rates and prospects preparedness for the call. We send a confirmation email right after they book, and then a 24-hour notice, and then a 1-hour notice. In our 24-hour notice, we include call preparation check, asking the prospect if they have gone through the content. And all these emails get sent automatically, unless you're in super high-ticket enterprise SaaS. Next, we want to have a personal check-in, especially in high-ticket world. Hard to do it at scale, but this does wonders for show-up rate and close rate. Depending on the channel the lead is coming from, we send them another valuable material prior to call and ask again if they're going to be attending. Once these steps are integrated in our pre-call phase, it often adds an additional 10 to 50% for startups close rate. And this is exactly what allows to decrease sales cycle length in enterprise level sales. During the check-in, the lead would always recall the call and invite their colleague to the meeting. So in other words, you DM them on LinkedIn before they show up to the meeting, and you ask them a couple missing data points, whatever you still have left, and also you need to confirm that their colleague is attending so that the key decision maker is going to be present in the meeting and you will be able to close the deal faster. Not in 7 meetings, but rather in 3-4, for instance. The next part of omniphase sales process, I'll explain what we need to do on a call to close a sale. So, the call chapter. Report, frame, qualification process, dream outcome, urgency, 1-sentence summary, pre-handle objections, product demo, close. I optimized this one resource for the case if you are selling in a single call. Usually you would have the discovery process go first and then have the rest in the second or third meeting. But nonetheless, you want to understand the report part. So common misconception about report is that it should be built within the first 5 minutes, so both of you are on a positive vibe. Instead, in reality, report is formed throughout the call through expert level questions from your side. So 1 to 2 questions at the start of the call are fine. They won't buy from you if you support the same football team, like the same movie, or both living in the same city. I tried all of this stuff on hundreds of sales calls, and believe me, when it comes to certain deal size, I mean, yeah, sure, if you're selling something like $5 to $15 million contracts and the person, it's not their money, but they just allocate the budget, yeah, maybe if you buy them tickets to the football game, this can result in a sale. But usually it's, if you want to do a more scalable way, it's often not the approach that scales. And yeah, sure, you can be trying to make friends with everyone, but sooner or later you may find out that people don't actually buy from friends. They purchase from people whose authority and competence they trust to get them to desired outcome. Frame. This one, however, is a ton more important and is one of the key elements that makes a good sales call and leads to a sale. Frame is the ownership of authority in the call. Who owns the frame controls the call. And did you have some of your calls start like, no, you tell me what you do and what you charge, and then maybe I will answer some of your questions. This is a clear attempt to control the authority frame in a call. Our role is to handle it and remain in the authority position, illustrating we are the ones needing it less than they, and it's actually the other party who will struggle if the call ends right now. There are over 7 different frames in sales, which are all prospects trying to be in the power position in different ways. I will not be going through them in detail in this chapter, but rather share the key principles. So say how the call will go. If they argue that, say that's how you do things here. And if they keep challenging you, move on to the next prospects. Thanks to the past chapters, you now have to have a full schedule. So frame control is one of the most important things in sales. It allows you to turn from a needy salesman to a doctor who gives them a diagnosis that they gonna follow. So set the frame at the beginning of the call and own it until it ends, controlling how the call goes and what is happening here. The other day I got on a call and a coaching session with a founder who is, say, pre-seed, check raised and early stage, and he has been consistently at 3 to 5 calls a week. However, they were not transitioning into sales. And I told him, okay, walk me through your sales process. How do you start the meetings? He's like, the first thing I do is I begin with, okay, name, really appreciate you booking the call and thanks for finding time today. Okay, this is not gonna get you anywhere, because if in the first 10 seconds people will just clearly feel as if they are doing you a favor by showing up to the meeting, how do you expect to be there as a doctor? I mean, have you ever come to a surgeon who'd be like, thanks Shatalin for making your time to show up today? No, they've got a queue of people wanting to have a surgery, and then you get it. So qualification process. Secret disclosed, you don't need to be pitching to every prospect who gets on a call with you. 10 to 15% getting on your calls will often be not qualified to purchase from you due to their financial stage, timing, or some other reason. Qualification process is your ability to see if the lead is absolutely gonna get value / ROI from your solution. Usually it's between 5 and 7 questions that you ask to understand the situation. Dream outcome. There are a couple of crucial components to making a sale. Them acknowledging where they currently are, where they want to be, and what is it costing them not getting there, and being confident that your solution is a way to get to their dream island. After completing qualification process, we ask them about their dream outcome and what it unlocks for them. Urgency. If we show everything in crystal pieces, but they don't have any urgency to take action, they won't. And the way we build it is by letting them understand their COI, or in other words, cost of inaction. We do it by finding out what is currently costing them not being where they are. And we want them to speak through this out loud. Otherwise, we'll fall into this endless 12 to 24 month sales cycle, which we don't want. One sentence summary. Cool, after we got the pieces together and we got to show them we completely understand their situation. We do it by summarizing their entire case in one sentence, and as a result would like them to say, yes, this is a perfect way to describe it. And if we'd ever done our discovery part correctly, if we have done it right, we should hear this often, because you want to practically explain where they are even better than they knew it prior to coming to your meeting. Next, you want to pre-handle objections. Before you move on, you want to get objections out of the way before they occur. For that, write down 5 most common reasons people don't buy from you and go through them. Okay, is X person who needs to see it currently on the call? If I show you a perfect way to solve it, what your decision-making process is going to look like, especially when you're navigating enterprise level sales, missing one person each meeting is going to be delaying your sales cycles forever. So there are different ways in which they may not like the product, so you want to address this beforehand, so then you know what the real objection is. You want to do discovery first, and only after you're certain about where they are, only then you show the product. So now you show it. See, so many people don't understand that the key to selling high-ticket B2B SaaS is getting all data points regarding the case before you jump into speaking about your features. We shouldn't make our product demo too long, otherwise we lose their attention. And we structure it in a form of 3 pillars. 3 pillars of how you will get to certain outcome is going to be pillar 1. You explain first part of the process and check in with them using a check-in question. Then you do the same for part 2, same for part 3. Then you find out whether they believe this process is gonna get them to their desired outcome or not. And then the close, next, once they are sold on your unique mechanism, you close them into a sale. And or if they are not ready to purchase yet, you book a call, the next call, while still on a call with them. There is one framework which is called like book a meeting from a meeting, and this is the key to understanding sales which are, say, from 10K and all the way up to hundreds of thousands of dollars. You always want to be booking one whilst you still there in the conversation, otherwise people disappear. That's how you turn cold prospects into leads with urgency to purchase from you. Now, what happens after the call, whether they purchase or not? We want to make sure this one part is dialed in, because a ton of times it's going to be not on the call, but actually after many calls that they are going to be converting, especially again in the world of large ticket sizes. So thank you page. After the call is over, we want to finish on a high note and to capture the lead into our world even further. Most people think that if they didn't purchase after the call, it's over, or at best they drop 1 to 2 messages in a few weeks and then they never recall the person. Remember this one book. This is what we want their sales experience to feel like. I don't mean frightening them like Alice by throwing them under a tree, but rather getting them into our wonderland. With every touch point, they learn new things about their own business, which get them to say, oh, we should do this one too, and this thing we should do as well. Because then we turn them from an ice cold stranger into a person who is inside our world, views the world the way we want to, the way we want them to see it, and from a market with a fierce competition, and even in the market with fierce competition, we turn it into a market of one. But how do you do it? The prospect needs to make a purchasing decision once they believe that a certain bridge is going to get them from point A to point B. Our role is to craft such a bridge that we can charge whatever amount for the ticket. At point A, we show social proof of how many customers chose us to get to point B. We place a large sign saying, tired of sitting at point A, our bridge is the smoothest way you can get to point B. We then place other signs with testimonials, history of our bridge, share what experience has felt like for others, offer an excursion where we talk about this one special story that happened exactly on our bridge. And look, there are hundreds ways to get over River Thames, but there is only one London Bridge. And if you happen to be its owner and organize excursions, that's how you get all the cash flow of a guy who owns Hampton Court Bridge over the same River Thames. Yes, I never heard about this one either. So interesting how two constructions serving the same purpose have a 100,000 times difference in demand and popularity, right? The point here is we want to get new prospects into our wonderland through our particular bridge, through our mechanism. Think of all the factors why London Bridge has more demand than this one, Hampton Court Bridge, and you all understand how to craft your startup's buyer journey. On our thank you page, we put additional sales assets, proven by additional case studies, teaching people more about our unique mechanism. And this is how we turn decision making in our favor and have them move in correct direction in the next meetings. So another part of this is going to be follow-up sequences. So usually B2B sales cycles take more than one meeting, and enterprise level sometimes lasting for over 8 months. Should we let competitors get attention span of our prospects and get them into their world? No. And that's why we create follow-up sequences. So these sequences are pre-made collections of sales assets and useful materials that educate the buyer on a problem, showcasing our expertise even further. And once the buyer sees us as the most qualified team to solve their problem and acknowledges they have a problem costing them a fortune, they move forward with us. That's why our follow-ups shouldn't include only info on our solution and case studies, but also explaining them the specifics of their problem and situation they're in. Social retargeting. Aside from follow-up sequences, there is an additional way to get prospects engaged with our world, and that's social retargeting. Here, we build a list of top 5 decision makers in their company and make a schedule for engaging with their posts and consistently remain present in their social circle. As we combine it with posting sales asset daily, once they check on our updates, they again and again get reminded about their problem and our solution. And that's why it's important not to just talk about point B, where we get people, but also point A, what are the bad sides of being where they are. This brings up cost of inaction, and because we are programmed to always be leaning towards the safest option. By default, the safest option for people is not doing anything different, because change means danger. Unless you educate them why where they are now is even more danger, they are not going to move forward. In the next part, we'll explore how we can use conversion optimization model to funnel more people inside our bank account and what are common bottlenecks eating startups runway. In part 3, we are going to be talking about optimizing funnel conversions. So we've already covered how to get calls, and we talked about what you need to be doing on those calls so that you close sales. Now, the remaining piece is how you can be improving numbers across your funnel such way on a consistent basis that you can be scaling your company on a reliable basis. So we figured how to get people in the door and how to sell to them, but now our work doesn't stop here. What we do next is find every point of improvement in our organization and make it better. In this part, I'll walk you through common elements by optimizing which we're able to grow revenue even further. Chapter 1 is conversion optimization model, and let me first introduce it for you. So you always hear, well, we found product market fit, worked on our conversions, that's how we got to 10 zillion MRR. Sure, that's helpful, thanks, but what are particular spots that we need to be working on once we have a hybrid customer acquisition system running and omni-phase sales process in place? There are a few, and to make it easier to keep them in mind, I constructed a conversion optimization model. This is how it looks like. As you can see, it has 3 intersecting parts: front-end, mid-end, and back-end conversions. When we work with startups and look at it this way, it's easier to see the whole picture and plan our sprints. Front-end conversions. They are basically at the beginning of the buyer's journey and are responsible for us converting more traffic into calls. First of all, open rate. How many people open our messages? can be tracked on cold email, harder to track when doing sales via social channels. If we're talking about open rate on cold emails, this can be increased by improving domain deliverability, better list quality, and better subject lines. For LinkedIn, this would be the quality of our profile, how legit it is, amount of social leverage on the page, variation of the subject line, and the hook. Bounce rates. How many emails bounced before reaching inboxes? Should be less than 1%, or now actually thanks to Google's updates 2 to 3% or less. Otherwise, there is an issue with the list or the sending domain. Reply rate, the total number of people who reply to your campaigns. So usually we want it to be 2x to 3x more than the positive reply rate. So we should be at 1 positive response per each 4 to 5 messages. Booking rate, how many people booked from those who responded positively, shall be at 30% or above, ideally 50% or above. Otherwise, either your website or socials don't back up your email claim, either you're misleading people in the first message, or your call booking process is not good enough. Show up rate lies on the intersection of front-end and mid-end conversions, because your show up rate depends on the way you acquire leads on the front and the way you capture them after booking. Upsell rate, as we can upsell both when we sign up for the product and after they experience the value, it lies on the intersection of front-end and back-end conversions, the mid-end ones. Close rate, how many qualified prospects you closed once they got on the call, should be 10 to 15% on cold channels and 15 to 30% on warm acquisition channels. If it's lower, see what you can be missing during your sales process. Sign-up rate, applicable for lower ticket products, how many people went through the funnel and signed up to the product, sharing their email. Activation rate, so that's more relevant for lower ticket, as in mid and high ticket it should be at 90% or above, meaning all people who paid you or signed up for free trial. Usually you would not have free trial, but out of all people who paid you, they should be coming to actually check out the product. This counts how many people activated their account and started using the product, got to experience the core value. Follow-up call conversion rate, and that's relevant for mid and high ticket SaaS products where the sales process requires multiple calls. Here we track how many prospects we got into the next call after the demo. Retention rate, being, as you might know, has a lot to do with the way we onboard people inside, and that's why you see it on the intersection of mid-end and back-end. It is responsible for how many customers we keep having to pay for our product. And now back-end conversions, it's the churn rate, how many people leave our product, often solved by acquiring customers with more money. Discovery that was shocking for me as well. If we work with companies who have tons of funding and cash flow, they often churn less than the ones who are tracking every single dollar twice a day. Net promoter score, how many people loved your product and so much that they promoted to others, and fixed by better product and better customer experience, and by offering it to a better audience as well. Helps us understand how satisfied customers are with us. Cross-sell rate, it's an opportunity often overlooked by founders, because here we're looking at how many customers we're able to convert in other product lines. Then referral rate, how many people refer our product to others. ConvertKit was able to grow by millions in revenue within months because each of their new paying customers were at the such point bringing another customer within 30-day period. They made the model work such way that when each of your new customers brings you another customer within a 30-day period, you're able to double in revenue every single month. And in this case, you'd often be busy rejecting VCs rushing to write you a check. Then understanding minimum sample sizes. So if only I read this chapter 5 years ago, I'd pay like 10K for it, because I spent times more doing pivots when I shouldn't have pivoted and wasted a ton of money building failure products. So the secret to knowing when to continue testing an audience when to continue sending a message with a certain hook and when to shut it down or raise money for the product. It's all about knowing minimum sample sizes. And this is what this chapter is about. So jumping ahead, I'll tell you 8 out of 10 times founders give up on a variation or good idea too soon rather than too late. So as a rule of thumb, it's better to continue testing for just some more time rather than to drop something when it feels not to be working. How can we know when to switch an audience and when to kill the campaign? Let me give you some data. When looking for the message market fit with startups, we test a minimum of 3 audiences. One of the questions that helps us to identify audiences for testing is who would be stupid not to buy it, and then test one of them. And then we test these 3. We send a minimum of 1,000 emails to each audience, and this 1,000 emails is split into 4 email hooks, which I covered in part 1. For each of 4 campaign variations, we want our emails to be opened by at least 250 contacts. After the campaign variation has been opened by 250 people, we can make an initial judgment whether it's working or not. Funny to see myself writing this, as I remember how years ago I would give up on a product idea or a campaign barely after contacting 50 people. Now, especially if you're playing the Outbound game, the sample sizes you're operating on are way larger than they used to be in the past, because now it's like way more saturated. For cold email campaigns, we're looking to get at least a couple positive responses and book at least 1 call. And this is what happened for a campaign we launched for linked prospect with David. 300 emails sent, 3 calls booked, and 1 closed into a 5K deal. David saying, just did a 5K sale from cold email. Shout out to everyone that thinks cold email is dead in 23. And knowing minimum sample sizes let us kill the non-performing campaign on time and to put the volume into the one which is getting us good results. Now, conversion scorecard. Every time I start working with a new founder, they ask me if this campaign is good or bad. And many times they think something is working while in reality it's not, and vice versa. That's how I came up with the conversion scorecard. And now I will walk you through how it works. Keep in mind that all the numbers I will be covering are approximate, and it is possible to have a campaign generating 6 figures a month, even when some of these numbers are lower. I will be referencing ballpark figures to give you a better idea on what numbers to aim for. So cold email, healthy funnel is 50% or higher open rate, reply rate 10%, interested rate, reply rate 25%, call booking rate roughly 50%, and close rate 20%. Open rate. So if you are doing above 75, that's very nice. I bet you are either collecting emails manually or have a very good list. That's hard to uneasy to achieve. Maybe your audience just rarely receives cold messages. Then 60 to 75% is great. Keep it up. And are you verifying emails using Never Bounce or a similar tool? If not, that will help you go even higher. 50 to 60% is good, not bad, but you can do better. Experiment with other subject lines by running A/B tests and filter the leads with additional tools. Then below 50% means you can do better. Reasons why you could have ended up here. 1 is a very targeted list that is always bombarded with cold emails, or 2, your subject line is too salesy or doesn't spark interest. Test other ones. Below 25%, open rate means something is broken. So you haven't warmed up email domains long enough. So Google identifies yours as spam, could be one of the reasons. See if it's a specific domain that's not delivering and put this domain on warm up. Reason 2, your emails aren't synced with the sending provider, or sending provider has broken down or is lagging. Reason 3, you got a list of 3,000 leads for $10 and the guy just gave you a random dead database. So now let's discuss interested reply rates and how to increase them. Keep in mind that this is not your total reply rate. Your total reply rate includes out of office and not interested messages. Your main priority is optimizing for a positive reply rate. If you're getting above 5%, this is fantastic. If more than 5% of people who get your offer ask you to tell them more, you hit the nice target. The exception would be if you are doing very niche enterprise level sales and you are operating on a super small market size, then you of course need to go beyond that with personalization and other things. However, for most mid-ticket B2B, this would be a nice number to be at. So this will get your whole pipeline to the next new level. To stay here, see where else you can get similar leads to increase the volume. 3 to 5% is great. Keep this up, it's scalable. See if you can test multiple hooks on your best converting message so you consistently hit 5% plus. Then 1 to 3%, good but can be better. This is already something and shows you're heading in the right direction, but you want to play with audiences and templates more until it clicks for them. If you are at 0.5 to 1% positive reply rate, you can do better. The combination of offer and audience might be wrong. Either you're selling to the wrong people or you're selling the wrong thing. Don't get me incorrectly, this can still scale if you go massively higher in volume, but you want interested reply numbers to be a bit higher. Now, let's touch upon call booking rate, which many founders overlook. 50% of interested leads should be converting into calls. If only 0 to 20% of interested leads book a call, you're either misleading them in email 1 or handling something wrong in the pre-call part. Per each 10 people interested or asking for more information, 2 should book within 24 hours, 3 should book within 4 days after clarifying a couple of questions, and 5 will drop out because things came up or that's not what they thought. Keep following up on them as you'll get 1 to 2 more big things from these 5 people. If more than 80% of people drop out after responding to your message, either you're lying in your first message or you communicate with them incorrectly. In certain cases, getting a high volume of replies can be your tactic, like a 2-step strategy. But if you explain your service in the first email, many respond but then don't book, looks like something is scaring them off or your booking link is broken, something like that. Once I had a founder cancel the meeting because one of my testimonials was linked to a blank Twitter profile with few followers because that one client never used Twitter, but it led to a lost opportunity. When you don't understand why people are not booking a call with you after they initially showed interest, keep searching for an issue. Note that booking time manually has a higher conversion than getting them to book through Calendly. As we touched upon cold email conversions and how to increase them, now let's go and dive into LinkedIn. So the key one starting point is connection acceptance rate. If you're above 80%, that's very high. I bet you have a very well optimized profile, which at the same time doesn't look too salesy, or you just hit your ideal audience. 60 to 80% is great. This is a very healthy zone to be at, but you can see if you can increase it by having better picture, nicely designed banner, more social proof, like articles, publications, recommendations, testimonials. Like make your about section compelling. 50 to 60% is good, 40 to 50% is fine. This zone is scalable, but you can get higher by running A/B tests with messages and optimizing things above. 20 to 50% could work, but it's not as nice. I bet you are trying to sell in your first message, in the connection request, or you have an unoptimized profile. Fix this accordingly. And then 0 to 20% is bad. Your automation might be broken. You might be reaching out to inactive profiles. Make sure to filter for posted in the last 30 days in the sales nav. The profile may have too little social proof, or in case you're reaching high authority profiles with thousands of followers, such rate would be normal, like if you're only targeting people who've got 10,000 followers or more. Reply to message 1 metrics. So here, a healthy amount is receiving 15 to 20 replies per each 100 accepted connections. 25% plus is fantastic. 15 to 20% response rate is great. 10 to 15 could scale if done via automation, but the right copy can get you more. And 0 to 10% is bad, either the audience or the copy is wrong. Reply to message 2. Usually that's your second question or an invite to book a call. Here are the numbers for the second question. 80 plus, fantastic. 60 to 80, great. 10 to 50, test something else for question 2. This one doesn't resonate. 0 to 10 means bad, change to something else, or consider changing the number of steps in your strategy from like at 3 to 5 sequence booking to 1 and vice versa. Call booking rate, reply to the message with a call invite. So this is the ratio of how many people who are interested in getting on a call through LinkedIn actually book a call. Per each 10 who communicated with you, 1 should book within 24 hours, 2 should book within 4 days after clarifying a couple of questions, and then 7 will drop out because things came up or that's not what they need. Keep following up on them as you'll get 1 to 2 more bookings from those. Now show up rate. So 90% and above is very high. Very good job with warming up your buyers before the call and sending them 3 notifications. If you're at 95 plus, I bet you're also calling them to confirm the meeting. 80 to 90% is very high. You are safe by staying here, but over time, see how you can add an extra person to confirm calls manually to get it even higher. Then 70 to 80% is good. That's a nice range. See what you are missing from points above to get it higher. 50 to 70 could be better. I guess you're booking calls through cold traffic and missing components from reference above to get this up and warm them up before the call. So 0 to 50% show up rate is bad. You're having a problem with quality of people you're booking. Either you are in B2C or something is broken in your funnel, or book people who didn't really confirm they're interested. Disqualification rate. So life-changing news, you shouldn't be selling to every person who shows up to your call. Not everyone is a good fit for your solution. A healthy ratio is that 70 to 80% of people who show up are qualified for your services. If you think 90% plus are qualified, consider narrowing down your buyer profile to hit a higher close rate and success rate. If fewer than 60% of people who join calls are qualified prospects, you have a marketing issue and are wasting time on calls with the wrong people who won't buy or just are not gonna benefit from the solution. And this means your pipeline is quite messed up and you need to restructure your sales and marketing efforts. Now, regarding your close rate. So 90% plus close rate means you are terribly undercharging for your solution. Try going 5 to 10x in pricing and see the market response you get. 80 to 90% is too high. Your real price most likely is 3 to 5 times higher. 60 to 80%, that's a very high close rate. Consider going 1.5 to 2x in price. 40 to 60% is fantastic, and that's the sweet spot you want to be hitting. You get an extra 10% from following up and checking in with them. 20 to 40% close rate is great. As long as you're selling in at the price you want to sell, this means you're on the right track. See how you can increase it by warming up prospects before the call, optimizing your script, and following up. If your close rate is 20%, it's good. This is all right if you like in which price they convert, and see points above for what you can optimize. And 10 to 20% means you can do better, and less than 10% close rate, unless you are in enterprise sales, usually it's economically bad for you. Equipped with these numbers, you now should have a deeper understanding of what to aim for with your campaigns and what numbers should be there for you to scale. This should get you responses, but it's important we don't lose leads while getting them to the call, and more on that in the next chapter. So how do we increase our close rate? By overcoming top SaaS objections. Hearing objections is better than hearing nothing. Let me explain. If you hear a prospect react to you and give you reasoning behind them not moving forward, it is much better than having no information at all. When you have a data point, you have something to work with. Hear me out. With enough creativity, any objection can be handled. Yes, you miss this feature, or we recently purchased Y is not so cool to hear, but this is about training an objection handling muscle. The idea is to see both negative and positive side in every statement. So, for example, it's sunny today. It's so good it's sunny today. I can play sports and get tanned. it's so bad it's sunny today, I have to be sweating the whole day and have nothing to breathe with in the underground. And this is also a perspective for you as a salesperson, or most likely a person who is, you're the founder of your startup doing the founder-led sales. If you don't train yourself to see positives in many situations, most likely you will not get where you want to be in future. And same goes for objection handling muscle, meaning your speed of how you effectively overcome objections quickly can be trained. So you have just a few customers scenario. It's so bad we have so few customers who are not credible and got no proof. Like imagine someone tells you they're not going to purchase because you don't have that many clients. It's so good we have few customers, we can pay 10 times more attention you'd get from any other alternative provider, have features built directly for your business, and your support requests would be handled 10 times as fast. And this is how initially an objection, you can twist it such a way that it becomes a positive side for them actually. Because especially if the lack of support is one of the issues they mentioned, this is how you flip it to your advantage. This can be applied to anything. The more you train, the easier it gets. So no is just a conversation starter, and it's funny how many times it leads to a yes. In this chapter, I'll equip you with ideas on how to counter some of the most common SaaS objections. This will get you more people into product demos. It's not a complete product yet. Classic. That's good for you because you get to decide on the next features and get a solution tailored to your needs. The next one, objection. It's too expensive. The price objection is almost never about the price. It's about them not being clear on us getting them to desired result. Or it could also be that this gap or this desired result is not big enough. Something is bothering them and we got to find out why. If you encounter this one, I love how using human psychology allows to turn this situation to another direction. People have the highest urge to buy in two situations. When they can't have something, aka, sorry, we're out of this Rolex model. And number two, when they acknowledge they need it. So like, by the way, can you remind me why you say you need this one thing? So sometimes with startups, we would go, that's weird. Looking at your company and the website, we thought that for you, budget wouldn't be an issue. As for our clients with 25 fewer employees, it wasn't a problem. And so many times they would respond, then the way to overcome price issue is to understand the cost of an action. For example, what is this issue costing you each month right now? Because as long as you are in B2B SaaS sales, and why I switched from B2C to B2B is because if you can clearly illustrate someone how they are losing $20,000 every single month, and you can solve it for $3,000 a month, you shall be closing them at least 3 times out of 10. I'm already paying for this alternative, so what makes you different? Objection. Ideally, you wouldn't get into such scenario in the first place, because after they run through your discovery process, they would become clear on why they need you. Otherwise, you can handle it in multiple ways. Here's one of them. Ask the prospect what is important for them when it comes to like accounting software. They name A, B, and C. Then you say, that's a good thing about this one alternative solution, that it's good at C. But what we found is that A and B for them are like so awful, we had to go and build our own software. Has you experienced something similar? I could continue this chapter going through the list of 50 templates for overcoming objections from SaaScam knowledge base, but I'd rather explain you the core principles that you can apply to anything you encounter. Any objection can be flipped from a negative into a positive. Most times, price is not about the price. And third, keep digging what bothers them to find out the hidden objections. Usually it's not what they feed you, but the one hidden 2 or 3 layers deeper. Once you apply this, you'll get more conversions to calls and will be closing more sales. Number 8 is going to be about getting more signups from the website. So I used to pay little attention to website design when it came to SaaS products. This is because for my products, I experienced insane procrastination when trying to tweak buttons there and back. Also, I've seen and I've been making initial pre-sales via DMs. The social profile mattered more than the website. And I would get people on a call without showing them the website and then just show the demo and close the deal. However, if you're making sales via cold email, the website matters. So in this chapter, I'll share the website framework that gets us 5 to 10% conversions from ads into signups. I'm currently growing the startup called SynthLife, an AI-powered SaaS startup, and this framework is getting us 29 conversions from website visitors into signups, which is quite high. Here's the sneak peek of founders' numbers. Page visitors, sign up page, app dashboard, and conversions. So 0.5 conversion from visitor to a paid customer is nice, but we are now working on sign up page, like app dashboard step to ensure people don't drop out. And that's how we'll get from 0.5 to 1.5/2%. The headline, first thing, deserves more attention than half of other elements combined. Your headline distinguishes your bounce rate and if your ideal leads are going to read your entire page to the end. One of the best website references I know is SEMrush, so let's break down how they do it. Get measurable results from online marketing. Clear benefits straight into your face. Addresses the problem of people not being able to measure their marketing performance. Subheadline helps us explain what our product offers in more detail. Think about it as an expansion of our main headline. So do SEO, content marketing, competitor research, PPC, and social media marketing just from one platform, from this example. Then the first CTA. Common mistake is to add a CTA which requires friction. Go with start now or do a custom CTA specific to your case, like find top property now. Visual/VSL. There are two schools of thought about showing what's inside your product versus not showing it. And if you show the product demo, you get more quality signups as people get what they are signing up for. If you don't show the sneak peek, you leave the curiosity of what your product looks like. Often gets you more signups, but a higher drop-off rate once people get inside the product. I won't go in detail about how the video sales letter script would look like in case you decide to put one, just because this explanation would continue for another 15 pages. But if you want my feedback on your website, or the product demo, you can email me yours at this email address. So social proof, it's no surprise that the second you land on any successful SaaS website, you see familiar logos because social proof converts. It is easier for humans to trust those who other people already trust, especially the credible ones. The protection mechanism plays a role here. These billion-dollar companies have already purchased from them, so I won't do anything wrong if I purchase too, people would think. Show you have customers the second they land on the website, and then show more as they scroll down. And pro tip is faces convert better. That's why in many startups that are doing decent cash flow, you'll see how many faces they put there. Shopify has nothing to do with serving, well, they do serve humans, it's just practically they're a tool for create a online store builder, but their entire website page is showing people, customers, and happy faces. Guess why? It works. Problem: are you experiencing back pain? We both have seen numerous headlines start like this, and there are reasons behind it. People read questions to the end, psychology, and when we hear the problem we relate to, we want to learn more. This is why two of the email hooks we use with startups are the question and the problem. In this section, hook them further into your copy to get them read the site to the end. Think what is the number one pain you solve for your ideal customers and then reference it. Example, AI tool that finds missed opportunities inside your pipeline. Problem hook would be like this. Tired of missing easy sales in your pipeline? Question mark. Then you want to amplify the problem. Once we have more attention, we now can expand on why it is dangerous to remain where they are. Remember, it is safer for people to take no action than to take action. Less action means familiar circumstances, means more safety. So if we never educate them on why their current condition is wrong, we will never persuade them to take action. Dive deeper into what consequences will occur if they keep the situation as it is. Solution. Next, explain how you solve their problem. Serve the magic pill that is going to take them to their desired dream outcome. Solution explained section. Explain your solution further, ideally in 3 steps, because it's easier for the brain to consume in chunks of 3. Educate them on a clear path that's going to get them desired results. Next, social proof. Once you explain them what the bridge is going to look like, back up your words. Let your customers sell them on your solution. Second CTA. This is a place for your main call to action. You've built up the trust. Now we make a bold claim again, reverse their risk, and get them inside. And the other interesting section, which I've seen perform quite well, is the so-called founder note and like extra social proof. Founder note section helps people connect with you closer. Especially, it's useful in the market requiring high level of trust like cybersecurity. I'm now scaling one Italian startup in cybersec, and the founder speaks in VSL to add up the trust level on cold traffic. And as you noticed, we add more social proof to get people experience the fear of missing out and take action, because nobody wants to feel stupid by missing out on something valuable. Usually when getting these elements in place, we're able to add a few % on top of website conversions, regardless of the niche. But it doesn't matter how sexy your landing page is if your product sucks, unless your plan is to just sell lifetime deals on AppSumo. So in the next chapter, I will break down an example of a good UX so you can understand the principles that go into it, and how to get people refer you and your product quicker. Now let's see how we can optimize your UX for referrals. I wanted to connect Gumroad to my email sending provider, and it was 1 a.m. and I was about to add it to my task list for the next day. I accidentally completed the connection before switching off my PC. I opened Zapier's website and instantly see that it will help me do what I want. They point me to our most popular Zap that states that exactly what I need. Zapier wants to hold my attention for the next 5 minutes, and it will be way easier for them once they show what's going to happen. First is like connect your apps. Next, set up your Zap. Third, turn on your Zap. Zapier helps me connect Gumroad. Then it helps me get MailerLite's API in 2 clicks and shows the whole process on the left, so I know how close I am to the end. Result, I created a Zap in just a few minutes, and see how blank the screen is when I have to complete core actions. There are no words that drag away my attention. They are walking me through a complex process of 30 clicks, like I am in a tunnel, making it impossible to mess up. There's no button I can click to look around. And when we are building our user's journey, we are parents with a 7-year-old basically in a Disneyland. So let go of the child's hand for a few seconds and they're gone. We've been in this parent's hell for 6 hours and our head is about to explode. We've been listening to screams for the whole day and now we must get our beast to the car park. The fewer roller coasters we pass by, the easier it's gonna be to get to the car. The cleaner our interface, the more users get value out of our product. Our time to value should be as quick as possible, sometimes accessible without a sign up like booking.com. Our UI UX are one of the core components of product's growth once we have people using it. To make more upsells, have a higher LTV, and increase our referral rate, we'll work on 3 things. Shortening time to value, making it impossible to get lost and to drag us to another roller coaster. Running regular user interviews to make sure we head in the right direction. Shout out to Wes Bush for those 3 points. Just been on a call with him this week. So yeah, product-led growth is awesome as long as you're in the niche in which it works. However, I personally usually throw rocks at it and find myself closer to the sales-led growth camp. This helps us increase backend conversions and grow sales even further. It is possible to sell the same product for 10 times higher price without ever touching the product. And more on that in the next chapter. Chapter 2, building scalable systems. Empowering the offer for boosting sales, scarcity, urgency, and stacking. When explaining founders' offer components, I like to present it in one example about selling hot dogs. Say you get a hot dog stand and a task to make as much money with it in a day as humanly possible. The guy who gave it to you was selling hot dogs for $5, but with offer amplification, you can achieve something better. Naming. Level 1 improvement is making a sexier name. This is what turns a few dollar dish you can get at home into an expensive restaurant meal, even though the ingredients remain the same. Plus, we're going to get Wagyu beef sausages in bulk, and now we suddenly become one of a kind stand that specializes in selling delicacy hot dogs, as no other place wanted to go up market. So that's how we go from $5 a hot dog to Wagyu Deluxe Savory Dog, which becomes $20. Same principles applies to SaaS. When we combine category design with correct positioning and sell the dream outcome. Next one is stacking. Once you get the hot dog, what's your next step? Indeed, to get a drink and fries. So we make it easier for customers and bundle our products together for them to create a smooth buyer journey. Our deluxe savory dog with truffle french fries and ice coke bundle is now $30. Sometimes we want to pack even more things into our offering, so getting it feels like a steal. Scarcity. The easiest way to bump people's demand is to make it limited. Even if you intend to sell no more than 64 hot dogs in a day, putting a sign saying only 64 left for today gets people to want it more. When you know you may never have access to it again, the fear pushes you to take action. As we want them to sell out even quicker, we now only sell 25 portions a day total, $40 each. In SaaS, we cannot tell people that software will be gone after X purchases. However, we can create the special bonus only accessible within a certain time frame. Fear of missing out, or social proof, by which we created, arguably the most powerful one on this list. When you see people queuing for something, you can't help but to check what it is that everyone is queuing for. So we give a few friends their portions of fries, so others see everyone is eating there, and we ask a few more to always be standing in a queue, so everyone passing by our stand sees that it's the place worth their attention. Also, with people seeing how others can afford it, they feel like, oh, if this kid can get the Wagyu Deluxe Savory Dog meal for $40, so can I. In startups, we achieve it with a ton of testimonials and reviews. Then, risk reversal. Now we enter the next category, which many don't dare to go into, guaranteeing the outcome. And this is what allows us to charge 2x or more for the same thing. If it's not the best hot dog you tried in your life, we'll give your money back. And yes, thanks to that, we can now sell it for $100. As you now specialize in delicacy hot dogs, what nobody else in the city does, it's not insanely difficult to deliver on your promise with the Wagyu beef sausage. Noticed how we went from $5 to $100? The funny part is that it doesn't stop right just there, because the ultimate element that beats all the other ones is the hungry crowd. If you put your stand near a football stadium with insane traffic of hungry meat lovers, you make an annual turnover of what you'd make in a rural park in one day. How much would you pay for water right now? I guess a few dollars or less. And how much would you buy the same bottle for if you found me in Sahara Desert on your 7th day of being lost? easily could be all of your life assets and savings, because now a single bottle that can save your life is worth just so much more. When operating in the market with high unserved demand, you can have a poor product, terrible support, but still be making millions. And I recently paid a lawyer in London, and when the sheikhs and kings fly to your district to resolve their legal issues, your parking would soon look like this one in Mayfair, without you having to offer any 24/7 customer support. And now imagine what margins you can achieve when you learn how to combine all these offer elements cohesively. Interestingly, they work regardless of the niche or the business type. After we integrate this into a startup, we soon have to hire more salespeople. And this is what the next chapter is about. Next chapter, growing your sales team, how we hire an SDR. After you implement most things shared in this document, the natural, and like in this video, the natural scenario is that you'd want to reinvest new revenue into growing your sales team further. In this chapter, I'll share some of the frameworks we use to hire more salespeople. As a rule of thumb, you want to aim to hire people more competent than you at something. This will help your company continually compound versatile skill set and build up company brain. Even if it's just a small thing like a particular way to scrape some databases, with getting new people, you want to be paying for what they bring to the team. Hiring good SDRs is about two things: coachability and being money driven in a healthy way. But how do you test for both of these? First, let's sort out their ability to digest info and act on it. So how coachable they are. Role play a sales conversation or a chat with a prospect. Then give some feedback. Then see if they're in their next role play, they have done it the way you explained to them. If they get it instantly, it's perfect. But if after a couple of times they still don't get it, be careful, as you'll end up wasting tens of hours in the future explaining straightforward things. And then regarding being money driven, which is like a controversial side of it, you want to build a sales team where guys are always pushing for more. I'm not promoting toxic corporate culture, but I would pick this sales team over this sales team any day of the week. And I'd ask for more from my sales guy and give him bonuses for good performance, rather than be questioning whether he's following up with prospects or is playing beer pong right now. To test for this, ask what are the candidates' plans for the next few years. By the way, they describe the future being a top sales guy versus living in a villa in Bali. You can get a picture of what they will perform like. Usually the way we scale sales teams with startups is by getting a second SDR, a closer, an account manager, and then adding more SDRs and closers. When hitting one sales target after another, it's important not to destroy what works and ensure you have the enough operational backend to support your growth rate. Otherwise, you risk burning out and collapsing your business. This is why we begin to expand. When we begin to expand, we need to be adjusting our company brain, and more on that in the next chapter. So, how to build your company brain to get your team to their peak performance. Once you find message market fit and identify your best selling mechanism, you start getting loads of sales quickly. And in this rush, the point is not to destroy your operations. In this chapter, I'll walk you through the company brain system I learned from my operations advisor, Tony. Step number 1, write down everything you do to deliver value. Write down everything you do to deliver your product value, from getting leads to client success. And I mean everything. Break down your lead generation, sales, and fulfillment. Take a piece of paper and write down which events should occur for you to make a sale. You open tool X, go to the page Y, enter parameter Z, click download leads, open tool B, so on. You want to deconstruct your business by crystal molecules. It would feel something like this. Usually you'd collaborate with your operations manager to separate each procedure. First, you start with core 10 steps and then expand each into another 10 and continue until every tiny bit is there. To do that, we use a tool called Lucid Charts, and every COO is in love with it. Step 2, create a flow chart of how it's happening with decision trees. When startups inside SaaS Camp get into their funnel optimization stage, phase 3 of the program, we share an inbox management chart, which we initially built for ourselves. And it looks like this. 124 steps, all serving one purpose: to make sure every lead who replies to our message or raises their hand gets to the call. I won't bother going through all of this 130 steps, but to help you understand it better, here's what the initial 10 look like. Open master inbox, start tracking today's metrics, reply to previous prospects. If there are new replies, manually label positive/negative. If negative reply, then check their website, and then decision tree goes. If they fall into our ICP, send personalized message, and so on. And so we continue for another 118 steps. After you finish creating the one for inbox management, you then need a brain for each of your customer acquisition channels, sales process, and for your fulfillment, how you onboard people inside, and must have if you're selling to enterprises and have complex integration process. And then you also do client success. When these decision trees are ready, you move to step 3. Step 3, link SOPs across company brain. We want everyone on the team be able to quickly find instructions on how to complete each process. That's why at step 3, we link SOPs to our company brain flowchart. This way, when the person opens it, they can then get redirected to a detailed tutorial on each specific action. SOPs should be so good that a new person who gets into your organization can complete a random process perfectly. So as rule of thumb, be generous in explaining things which seem obvious to you. I've done a mistake of thinking, oh, this one thing is obvious, I'll just explain it in 3 steps. No, whatever you think to take 3 steps, break it down into 9. You will not regret this. Building out an effective company brain is exactly why some startups get to 5 million ARR within, or MRR 15 years, and others hit it in 3. It is about the power of your skeleton. The stronger it is, the easier you make it for your managers to get new hires up to speed. As a result, they achieve their peak performance in weeks and not years. And when it happens repeatedly with every hire, imagine how much faster you'd hit a 5 million ARR milestone than your competitor who is not doing it. Chapter 3, adding additional revenue streams. So here we're going to talk about using upsells, cross-sells, and referrals to achieve a 100% month-over-month growth rate. Let's talk about pricing magic. Once I met a consultant whose specialty was finding hidden revenue. His offer was to find 10K in hidden revenue for in your business for free. Not for free, however, for a fee on the premise that he gets a percentage of what he finds. This piqued my interest. On a call, I found out that you can sell people more than once. Do you know when people have the highest chance to convert into an upsell? Recall the last time you bought a burger. Yes, you got fries with it, just because it makes sense. When people enter the buying mode, the risk tolerance lowers. And this is why it becomes a good moment to recommend them something on top, the upsell where you have your real margin. Keep in mind, you don't want to do it before you are certain they are ready to part with their money. For instance, if you try to sell car insurance before they are committed to buying a car, you risk losing a sale. So say your product is 8K a month, it costs you 2K to acquire a customer. When you pay out all the developers and marketing costs, it's a good margin. But you can make it even better when you show them how a higher tier plan makes more sense for them. A while ago, I wrote a Twitter thread that got 1.3 million impressions. It was about using psychology in pricing of SaaS products. When presenting your offer to potential buyers, you can actually navigate them to selecting the option you want them to purchase. Let me show you. Here on the left we got Apple, 129, middle we got 189 apple, pineapple, orange, and then to the right we have another apple, pineapple, orange, dragon fruit, pomegranate, mango for the same price. So if there were 2 options, the first, just apple, and the second, then you would be unsure which one you'd are willing to pay for is going up by an extra $60 in price would feel like unreasonable stretch. But things change once we introduce option 3, which offers twice as many perks for the same price as option 2. It becomes a no-brainer and helps you feel like you're getting a steal. You get option 3 with all the perks and benefits, and you feel you got a better deal than I did, while in reality, I got you to pay, and I got you to pay for the most expensive option where I have the highest profit margin. Next, there is a second way to guide you towards the right decision without saying anything. Check the guiding decoy slide below. So here, when I introduce an option in the middle, I can get you in the right direction I want. I show you that you can achieve it by pricing the middle option closer to the top tier, so the decision-making process will be between option 2 and option 3. See, 179 is way closer to the right option rather than to the left, and that's why subconsciously your brain moves towards there. Then upsells. When you get the buyer to pick their correct tier at the start, then you have 3 goals: to keep them, get more from them, and have them refer you to others. We want to make a correct offer to clients, so we install product analytics and track their actions inside the product. After we see they're active, got to the main product's value and logged in more than 10 times, it's a good timing to offer an annual plan. Unless they already committed to one, then you can go up to a 3-year plan. We already have their trust, they're coming back, so let them know they can get 2 months free by going for an annual plan. And now the secret behind 50 to 150% month-over-month growth rate. If you can get every customer to cover their acquisition cost and to cover the customer acquisition cost of another customer within their initial 30-day period, you'll be doubling your revenue every single month. I'll explain. Typical SaaS model looks like this. You get a customer inside your product for X. Then it makes you a few months to cover X and start making profit of them. If they churn in months 1 to 2, you are barely breaking even. Such way, you fall into a vicious cycle, which looks like this. And you are not making enough profit to invest in product development. Not improving the product results in people churning, and people churning results in you not making a profit, and so on. But if you strategically apply upsells and referrals, you get out of it and start growing by 50 to 150% month over month. The way you achieve it is you want a customer you spent $10 to acquire to pay for the product, use it, and then go for a $20 plus annual plan, and to refer you another customer, usually through some incentive. What happens is you got your money back from an acquisition cost, and you received enough cash from them to cover acquisition of another customer. If you can achieve that, it happens with a 30-day window. In month 2, you have another customer who pays for himself and the next customer, and then the printer starts running. Only few startups are able to achieve it, but once you do, oh man, you're set. This is the formula we aim for with every startup, as once your hybrid customer acquisition machine is running, omniface sales process is in place, conversions are in A to A plus range, getting to 100% month over month growth rate is like achieving a golden spiral ratio with your SaaS. And now I would like to tell you that basically, first of all, appreciate you staying to the end and staying with me for such a while. If you would like to get more stuff from me and from my team related to things like this, and I mean everything SaaS, sales and marketing related, then you can sign up to my newsletter, which is at Denis, shatalin.com/SaaS-secrets. I write there every week, currently have 1.5 thousand subscribers, 50-ish% open rate, and I've been writing there every single Wednesday for the last couple of years. I usually save all my best source for there, so check this out. And most interestingly, if you are a B2B SaaS founder and you are tired of not seeing how you can consistently be growing your revenue, Most likely you've tried some events which are boring and expensive and not really scalable. Most likely you put some money into ads, but this hasn't given you that much results as you wanted. You tried something related to cold outbound, but it has either not worked at all or not to the extent that you wanted. Practically, as long as you are growing through direct sales, meaning that you charge 1K a month for your product and all the way up to hundreds of thousands of dollars annual subscription, then we can help you out with generating more cash. And I think in the past few hours you heard me how we would be achieving that. And the offer which we currently run is that we would grow you by 240K in annual revenue or more within 6 months time frame, and we would get 60% of our fee only after we get you to this after we help you add this revenue amount. And we would refund the initial 40% of the basically your onboarding fee in case for some reason we don't help you grow by this revenue number. For that, basically you can simply go to saascamp.com/strategy, schedule a call with me, and I'll take a look at your situation and see what is potentially preventing you from leveling up your SaaS. Appreciate you watching this. Let me know if you got more questions regarding anything I covered, and wish you best of luck with your venture. Talk soon.